There's a big fat one, a skinny one, and a medium-sized one.
I love four-wheeler drift.
No stranger to drifting, no stranger to competition.
That guy stole my freaking ratchet wrench. I see that. That's mine. He rejects your reality and inserted his own. This is a stimulator, right? The pole petition.
Pilot.
Matt Shulman still on top with the 69.
Go ahead.
Oh, we're good.
Yeah.
Okay, so everybody, welcome to Drift Sessions. I am here with Captain Ben.
Ahoy.
Ahoy, Captain. And we have two special guests. We have Shant Karakouzian.
Hello.
I said that right?
Yes, you said
Sweet.
it
I keep questioning myself every time I say
you
it.
said it perfectly.
And we have Jerome Davidson of Aero-K. Okay, so Aero-K is okay, right?
Okay.
So we brought them on because one, I've known Shant for quite a few years. And right, and just recently, which we'll get into a little later, he started something new, a new endeavor in business, and came to his house, saw his 240, his S13, as beautiful, super clean as it was, sitting in a just a nicely decorated garage. Like the wheels, it just looked really nice. It was sitting at home in his garage, and then we just started getting talking, and you're like, hey, I'd like to come on the show sometime.
Oh yeah.
And so here he is. So that being said, should we show his car first?
Yeah.
You want to go over the car first?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. Could you show the video there so we can see what we're doing? Is that possible?
Yeah, let me go ahead and pop that up so that way people can get a view exactly as to what they're seeing. There we go.
Okay. So you got it. Oh, I want to see it there, so I'll make
Are all
sure.
cameras on right now?
Hang
Yeah,
on.
our cameras are on. Yeah, we're on. Yeah,
cool.
you're on.
We're
Yeah,
on.
I know it's a weird thing, right? You can't see yourself. We're just kind of talking, and that's the beauty of it. So, but
good.
while he's
It's
getting
nice.
that set up, Shant, so tell us where you're from.
Well, I'm originally from Montreal, Canada. But I came here to the States, just Florida straight, 92, and pretty much grew up my entire life in Coral Springs. And yeah, I stay in Coral Springs now. I bought a house last year, so still
Okay.
around.
And Jerome?
Born and raised South Florida.
Okay.
Yeah.
Really? Okay. In the Coral Springs area?
Pretty much, yeah.
So were you part of the Night Monkeys back in the day too?
Oh, yeah, original.
He was the original.
Oh, really?
He's the original
Okay.
three. The original three is me, Jerome, and my brother.
I'm sorry, I didn't know
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
I was a little more low key on the scene.
Yeah, because we were talking. It's like, man, Jerome, what did he drive? We were trying to
S14 I started off with, then S13 hatch after that.
He
Yeah.
had the super low, like maroon S13. He had the top mount. No,
V mount.
V mount.
Oh, V mount.
He had the
Okay, I remember
on
V
there.
mount, but my memory's
G-Corp,
that was a
wide
while
body.
ago.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
So then he eventually went cream color,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Down there.
yeah,
Yeah.
I have to admit though, I was like, and this is really sounds dorky, but like you guys were like the coolest. Like when I saw Night Monkeys, but like it was back when drifting was young.
Yeah.
Right. And when I would see you guys, because I did air conditioning, so I did a lot of service calls. So every once in a while, I see you guys driving around. I was like, that's just so, just like, I want to be like them, And it was right when I was first starting to learn how to drift in the RX-8, mistake. But it was like,
Those are good
it was
days,
just
man.
like, you guys were like it down here because the scene was so really small.
It was, yeah.
It was like, it was definitely an underground scene back then. So where did the name Night Monkeys come from?
Oh man.
Yeah.
I remember this like it was yesterday,
Yeah,
bro.
I
And
remember
tell
that clearly.
You remember that?
Yeah.
So we first ended up because it was a group of us. Me, Jerome, and my brother. We had a vision of Aero-K, and Aero-K Designs. Actually, that name has been around before we even thought about Aero-K Garage or even Team Aero-K.
Okay.
Because I started designing different aerodynamic kits, and I posted a bunch of pictures of it back on SFL back in the day. I don't know if you remember that thread.
No, I don't.
But we wanted to build just different body kits and make a 240 or any Jap car just look badass.
Right.
You know? Am I supposed to say badass?
That's fine.
I'm good. Okay.
That's whatever.
You know, I don't know if this was
Go for it.
but you know, and the vision started to where we have a shop, we design our own body kits, we do performance work, you know, just we have a showroom floor. So that was our vision for Aero-K, but we also love drifting, and we used to watch like option videos. And I remember this one video that we used to watch. There was a team of all red cars, and they were called Red Sharks. You know, and it was just like so cool because like they're drifting the Toge Mountains in Japan, and all the cars were red, and they all were like, nah, 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 made some like funny gestures. Remember that video?
Yeah, oh yeah, definitely.
You know, and there was other teams with all these unique names.
I'm about to look that up. Red Sharks.
And so you know, we had a couple of our friends that we were into cars. We love watching the Japanese videos, so we decided to kind of get together and open up a shop in Corporate Park, Coral Springs.
Coral Springs, yeah.
And just to have like a hobby shop so we can work on our cars, store tires and stuff like that. And one night we were there late night. We probably had a few beers. The shop had a loft, and we were kind of hanging out up there. And Beastie Boys came on, and Brass Monkey.
Right? Oh, okay.
So that song came on. So you know, me being a little tipsy, you know, so I started singing along. But instead of saying Brass Monkey, I said Night Monkeys.
Really?
The Funky Monkeys. And my brother stopped me. He goes, Shant, what did you say? I was like, Night Monkeys. And I was even realizing I was even saying the wrong lyrics. I
thought you were totally, this is the words, man.
Yeah,
exactly.
yeah.
So my brother's like, yo, because my car was black. And I remember the GP Sports catalog. Remember?
Yeah.
In the JDM magazine, whereas the GP Sports advertisement of a black S14 and a black S13 dropped just beautiful. And we were just like, damn, these cars are sexy. So like, yo, what if we create a drift team called the Night Monkeys, and all of our cars are black? So we painted all of our cars black.
Right.
And we called ourselves the Night Monkeys.
From
Just like that, a team is born.
Yeah. And, you know, but then that's usually how it works, right? A lot of times people come up with names, not planning to come up with a name, but you came up with a name singing the wrong words to a song.
Literally.
And it totally worked because, I mean, the logo is cool. I have it on my keychain. I don't know if they can see this or not, but yeah, so I got the Night Monkeys keychain. I got like 3 of them, so every keychain in the house has one.
Nice.
Yeah, and then I have those little air fresheners as well in every car. But yeah, let's go over the car now. And are you guys okay with that?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, all right. Just want to make sure Ben's all set up. Okay,
Yeah.
you want to walk over there?
Yeah,
okay,
I'll
let's
go.
walk over.
All right.
Wait.
Oh, wait, what?
Well, no, you. Like, there's no microphone there, so you guys gotta have to like do it from there.
Oh, okay. So, all right.
You know?
Yes.
So just follow along with the camera.
All right. Why
I'll
don't you
move it.
point? We point at stuff and we'll describe it.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. So, anyways, this is your car. How long have you had this car?
So I bought it August of 2019.
Oh, so you had it
So-
for a good while.
So just prior to the pandemic. That is correct.
Okay.
So
And
it's funny story about the car. I don't mean to cut you off.
no,
but
go for it.
I kept seeing it on Craigslist for like a long time. And I kept saying, I was like, oh man, I would love to get back into 240. I miss my S14. So finally I was like, you know what? Screw it. I'm going to bite the bullet and I'm going to look in this car. So I ended up reaching out to the kid. He still had it. He gave me his address. This guy lived 30 seconds from my house.
Are you serious?
30 seconds from my house. I was like, no way. So I went over there. I checked out the car. I mean, super clean. I mean, needed a paint job, had
Right.
little dings here and there. But I looked inside, had full interior, factory radio, one tiny little crack on the dash, had all the dash panels. I mean, the car for a 93 was clean.
Right.
Even though it needed work, it was clean.
Right.
So I saw a great canvas.
It was
and
running?
Started it and drove home. Needed wheel bearings, needed
Well,
new
right,
suspension,
whatever.
brakes, things like that. But again, thankfully, I live 30 seconds away from the kid.
Yeah, so you didn't have to drive it too far.
Exactly.
No, it's beautiful.
So
It's
the only thing
really
the kid did to it, and fortunately for him, is fortunately for me, I'm sorry, but his wife got pregnant and he couldn't really, for their second child, and he couldn't afford to keep the car or do any more work.
Well, it's a good thing you got it when you did, because I'm sure today's prices are ridiculous.
Ridiculous.
Insane.
If I tell you what I paid just for the Type X Kooky parts compared to what the prices are now, insane.
It's that tag. Well, even with the E30s have gone through the roof.
I don't know what it is.
I had a hard time finding one under 10 grand. I mean, I ended up getting a good deal on that one, but like people want to sell buckets that didn't run with no interior for $6,000. It's insane.
Yeah, I was just talking to one of my colleagues. Like, I wanna keep that car as original as I can. You know,
Right.
with I don't know if I want to go SR. I would love to go SR, but yeah, prices are through the roof.
Oh my
But I
gosh,
did
SRs are ridiculous.
It's ridiculous. It is For S15, it's like 10 grand for an SR motor. It's absolutely nuts.
Yeah.
But I did also realize that these 240s are getting in value the more original you keep them. You know, so I feel like it is a 240 SX. It's not a 180 SX. So I figured maybe, you know what, let me keep it KA. Just try to look for a long block, freshen it up, rebuild it to a brand new specs, and have just, again, still a factory car. You know, that's like my main objective, while giving that 90s period correct appearance.
Okay.
But you can't even find a KA. Back in the day, KAs
Oh,
were
we're like
you
dirt.
could even give it away.
I know people didn't
You
want
know,
it. Yeah.
like literally, you get a full motor for $400.
I did give one away.
Exactly, exactly. Point being. So it's like I was looking for some right now. It's like someone was selling the KA for $2,000, man.
Wow.
Are you kidding me? It's a KA. What else
For
would I buy for
wait, they're selling for
$2,000,
$2,000.
bro. $2,000. It was a complete KA motor.
That's ridiculous.
Now I don't know if anybody bought it, and this kid.
No,
is
but I mean, just the
price
fact that somebody
gouging,
thought
but-
that this will work. That I, you know,
Yeah.
like this. That hey, this is a good idea. $2,000. Well, I mean, there are some ridiculous prices out there, but good lord.
Yeah. So, you know, but thankfully, again, that car is relatively stock. You know, obviously, like I said,
Advance.
Overtex is majority aesthetics. I mean, suspension is fully worked. I mean, it has, you know, BC Racing coilovers. You know, I had Chelsea, you know, Denofa
Right.
set it up with pretty good specs. All the suspension arms have been upgraded. It has S14 front lower control arms, brand new bushings, you know, throughout the car. Aesthetic wise, obviously has a Type X kit all around. The only aftermarket aero was the M Sports hood and the D Speed mirrors. And I'm actually, you know, I don't want to brag, but those are probably literally the only side mirrors here in US.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah.
No, the car is really clean. Like when you open your garage, when I went to come by to get the shirts and stuff, I was like, pff, it's just like
It's kept in the
beautiful.
garage most of
Like,
the
and
time.
I'm not really like a Nissan fan, like you know that because I like the BMW stuff, and he's a Toyota guy, right? But like I just like if I was gonna have one, that's what I'd want it to look like.
Thanks, man. I
you know?
appreciate it. I
No, it's
appreciate it.
beautiful.
I mean, there's a lot of inspirations too that I get from like, you know, social media now and stuff like that. But I wanted to put in my own twist, you know, with the TriStars and with
Clean.
kind of like the hood and the aero setup and, you know, give it like my own like touch to it. I love the car, man. It just honestly, it's always brings a smile to my face every time I drive it.
Yeah, no, it's beautiful. Jerome, are you driving something now, or are you
Nothing
just
right now.
Yeah, I've been there. I've been there.
You know how it is. Man.
Yeah. I mean, planning to get something soon.
Yeah.
What do you have your eyes on?
Nissan.
Oh, Nissan
For sure, man.
Okay.
Nissan for life.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
There you go. Yeah.
300ZX, I know.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah, most
Like
likely.
a Z32.
Okay. Yeah. They're actually, well, I don't know about recently,
Pretty
but I've seen
reasonable,
some pretty
honestly,
good.
yeah.
Right, I have seen some pretty good deals on those. Not too bad. You
We'll
know,
find one. We'll find
Yeah.
a clean one.
I remember
find the
Harvey
right
We were
Hutch.
just talking around right here, be like, man, imagine if both of us had a car right now. Like we'd be probably cruising like every weekend.
The thing about the 300Zs, like they are such a nice when they're clean and they're done simple. They are beautiful.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
But people rag them out, and it gives it, you know.
Yeah.
The thing about those
Yeah,
cars
like
is
you have to do it right.
you have to keep it simple.
Right.
That's the thing with those cars. Like Nissan came out with a beautiful design straight from the beginning.
Exactly.
You know, where you do not have to do much to that car,
No,
just
not
to
at all.
make it look, you know, just that timeless look that it has.
Right.
Yeah, Nissan did very, very well in the
They
90s.
did.
I feel
They
like
did.
yeah.
They did a good job. I think that was the best years of designs. I mean,
I think European cars and Japanese cars, I feel 80s and 90s were the ideal years.
Yes.
Exactly.
Yeah.
yeah.
You know, those 2 decades, man, they were very, very good to
Yeah. No, they
those,
are.
to those markets.
Okay, so let's talk a little bit about back in the day. I'm going to throw 2 names at you, and I want you to give me some insight in your experience or your time with them, hanging out with them. One is Chelsea Denofa. He came down here. You guys hung out quite a bit, I understand.
Oh yeah,
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
He was
Okay.
a night monkey all the
Okay.
way through,
Yeah, yeah.
man.
Okay,
Absolutely.
so how did that relationship develop, and how did you meet him?
Well, meeting him, I ended up meeting him just out of the blue. So it was funny. I was driving in my S14, and it was right here on 441. We were coming down the bridge on Sample, and a white 240 passes by me, right? And honestly, I thought it was a girl that passed by. I'm not gonna lie. Chelsea had long hair. You guys remember Phil?
Flowing in
Remember
Yeah, I
Phil?
remember
Phil
Phil.
Scarlatta? So
Yeah.
he was in the passenger seat. So Phil was a night monkey also. And so they passed by me, right? And I see his hair flowing. Chelsea had long hair. And I was like, wow, yo, look at that. I think my
Whoa,
brother was in the
woo,
car.
it's
I was
a
like,
girl
yo,
driving that
look at
car.
chick
Whoa, let's
driving that
find- let's chase her
240,
down.
right? Nah, he just went off. So literally later on that day, or was it later on that day? Maybe it was the next day. I'm sitting in front of when I was living with my folks. Well, I used to be a cigarette smoker, but I'm sitting in front of my parents' house. I'm smoking a cigarette. And I'm staring at my S14. You know, I love
you
that
just stare
car,
at car.
of
Yeah,
course.
I do it. I stare at my 30.
Yeah, I stare at my car
Right.
literally in the garage.
Yeah.
And I'm smoking a cigarette. Then a really, really clean FC RX-7, black FC RX-7, pulls up into my cul-de-sac. Right? I'm like, who the hell is this guy pulling up into my cul-de-sac? He pulls in front of me. He goes, "Hey, man, sweet car." I was like, "Thanks, you too." It was Chelsea.
Okay.
We talked for like an hour. So random, extremely random. We talked for about an hour. He said, "Hey, we're going street drifting later on tonight. You want to come?" I said, "Hell yeah." Called Jerome up, called my brother up. Jerome had his S14. My brother had his hatch. Literally, me, Jerome, my brother, Chelsea, Phil. I don't think Phil was driving. I think Phil was just in the passenger seat for Chelsea. And then who else was with us?
I don't know. Maybe Dean.
Yes, and it was Dean. I don't know if you ever met Dean. He had a right-hand drive S13.
Cool.
Not off the top of my head. I can't
And
remember.
we went street drifting that night. And since then, that's where we were that niche group. And probably like weeks after that is when we had the encounter for Night Monkeys.
Really? And Chelsea was there hanging out with you guys now?
Every night.
Wow.
Every night.
Yeah, we had a little shop in Coral Springs, and like that was the hub.
And I have lots of stories of nights that we had over there that
Well, share one.
and I don't know, no, certain people have some sponsors they gotta help keep
okay.
you.
Right.
Just just not, but overall, just
nothing
nothing
illegal.
crazy,
Mostly
but,
street
like,
drifting.
Yeah.
right,
Crashing.
all exactly, all street drifting and just causing mayhem. But it was just, you know, we were young and we just all of us shared the same passion for drifting. You know, and then once we moved into a bigger location, we had a TV, and all it played was just Japanese drifting videos.
Of course.
That's all we
Right.
played throughout the days. And it was just awesome nights, man.
And at that time, where you guys all had your own jobs and you guys, this is all something you did on the side?
That is correct.
pretty
Did
much.
it ever get to the point where you guys were just doing the garage or no?
We
I
were
mean,
close to that point,
yeah.
and then just like things that happen with life, we kind of it all broke apart.
Yeah.
Yeah, because
It's hard.
with
Yeah.
us importing the parts from Japan, so we had the container come in and whatnot. But you know, with everything happening with my brother and the economy was around
Yeah,
the worst
that
time.
was
so
a bad
it
time.
was just we were ready to start off. We had the right plan. We had everything wanted to go. I mean, we were still turning business, you know, but we still had our day jobs to, you know, pay the rent and whatnot. Because some
Right.
months it was hard to pay the rent at the shop, you know. But we had a decent space. We did some decent work. But yeah, it just unfortunately the timing was not right.
So how was Chelsea? Were you teaching him or was he teaching you guys back
No,
then?
he was
Nah,
always on another level.
Always on
Oh, he's
another
always-
level. Absolutely. I mean,
Yeah.
he's just, you know, I had the opportunity recently to get in a car with him. And I mean, even though, like,
yeah.
yes, I drifted back in the day, you know, not on his level by any means.
No, it was a different,
but from
it
a
was different
competition level,
then.
exactly, you know, and it's insane, unreal.
Well,
It's just-
drifting is a different level altogether.
Completely.
When you look at, first few seasons of Formula Drift compared to now, you're like, that was like, not
like
even the
street
pro
cars.
guys are that bad. I mean, yeah, exactly.
yeah.
It's like
Right.
you go to a regular drift day. We went to King of OSW, and they'd put those FD guys to shame back in the day. So the scene's totally changed.
Of course. You know, back then you had a 400 or 500 horsepower car. You had a professional
Oh, dude,
competition car.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you're
With
legit.
your Bolton safety 21 cage.
Exactly.
You
Yeah.
know, and now you have a 400 or 500 horsepower car. You're not even going to be able to compete or keep up with any of these guys.
Right.
You know, where it's like the level of drifting,
Especially the angle kits nowadays.
everything,
Insane.
you know. It's just like, you know, back then, like we kept it simple but it was still, I don't want to say hard to afford it, but we worked our butts off to be able to afford, just drifting. Fortunately, you know, we had some sponsors that helped out or whatnot, especially when it came to like some traveling expenses, like tire costs, things like that. But you know, if we had to do it now, it'd be so difficult
Yeah.
to try to keep up, you know?
Yeah,
And-
it's a whole other game, man.
yeah.
It's a whole other game. So the other thing I was going to throw at you, because we got to interview him, about a year or so ago, almost 2 years ago, and he had like just nothing but just great words for you. Like he brought it up and about the Night Monkeys and everything down here was Reese Marin.
Oh, Reese.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Because he's
Good guy, man.
Yeah, because he's hitting the drift scenes. He's close with Chelsea. He teaches with them.
Yeah, he teaches.
Right. So he was competing at Clutch Kickers. Was that last season? I think it was last season.
Yeah.
I don't think
And-
he's competing this.
No, not this season. No, he's kind of just on.
Honestly,
Yeah.
sorry, I didn't want to cut
No,
you
go
off.
for
I
it.
thought you said Reese Millen. I was like,
No, Reese Marin.
right.
yeah,
I thought you said Reese Millen
Millen.
first. I was like,
I don't know.
how does he know us?
Yeah. No, he Reese Marin came on when we were doing the Clutch Kickers live stream. And when we first started doing a live stream, it was more of a, I don't know, just kind of a chill vibe, I would have to say, right? Like we would just grab drivers and put them on a live stream and ask questions.
Nice.
Because a lot of times we had downtime. We didn't have, back then, we didn't have all the commercials. It was a little smaller production, I guess you could say. So we just grabbed drivers and, hey, come on the live stream and we'll talk. And we just interview them. And we have Rome, Charpentier on there. We had Chelsea was on there. I know quite a few of the drivers. So we pulled Reese, and he was on there for a while. We had to get Diana to pull him off. I mean, he was just talking. But one of the things he brought up, he's like, yeah, you guys are from South Florida, right? He's like, yeah. He's like, yeah, man, Shant and all them, they're freaking so cool. I went down there, and Chelsea was like, you got to come down here and drift with these guys, man. You got to come down here. And said Reese said straight up. I was like, what am I gonna learn from them? Like, we're drifting up here. I guess he was in Pennsylvania.
Correct.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Billy.
Yeah.
So he's like, what am I gonna learn from them? We got it going on pretty good up here. But he goes, I was really shocked. He goes, I was not expecting that. And he had nothing but great words for you guys. So what was
Awesome, man.
How long was he down with you guys? Or he just come down for like a weekend?
From what I can remember, he came down like 2006 for a competition. It was
Okay.
like to get a license
At Moroso. At Moroso.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
so he did a Turtech event. Was it Turtech event? No, it was Nopi. It was
either
2006.
Nopi or Drift 411, which Drift 411 back in the day was a feeder series for Formula D. So it was based on, because back then, like now it's just straight Pro 2 feeder series, but you had regional events back in the day.
Right.
Drift 411 was kind of like the Southeast regional event as a feeder series to go into like Formula D to get like points and get licensed, which I think that was the...
Or was it SW? Well, no, SWD, I don't think it was around back then.
No,
weren't around yet.
SWD wasn't around. But maybe it
Might have been later,
Nope,
like
but
2007,
No, maybe it was Nopi. No, I think it was Nopi.
Was it the same
There's
event where you did
XDC.
well?
There was XDC also, but I don't know.
No, he didn't
They-
drive XDC. It was no, I think it was Nopi. I think it was for like when the Nopi season came down.
Because they came to Three Palms. Well, it wasn't Three Palms back then. It was Punta Gorda.
Right.
That was my first trip.
That's
to
where
them.
the qualifying was, right?
Right.
Yeah. It was either the Drift 411 events or Nopi. But I feel like didn't we meet Reese also at that event when we went to Atlanta? The drift event when unfortunately that accident happened.
Yeah, I don't remember. I don't think so.
No, I feel like maybe met him.
So he kind of came down, and you guys took him out, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
and then we also took, Rafi ran Nopi.
Okay, yeah, that's right. Yeah.
So we were going to Englishtown Raceway a lot as well, and he was always, competing. I think it was Nopi because he would be competing at the Nopi events also, especially at Englishtown. Not
Okay.
Englishtown. Englishtown.
Okay.
Englishtown.
Yeah, I haven't been up there.
Yeah.
I have no idea.
Yeah.
One day, maybe.
But yeah, no. Reese definitely, he's a funny guy, man. He's a good guy as well. It's been a little while since, we got a chance to like hang out, but obviously through social media and all that stuff.
Right. I thought it was interesting. It kind of like took me by surprise because I know he's from up north, and I'd never met him before. But then we were kind of always just stuck in County. That was like our little void. That was our hole, right?
That was paradise, though.
It
man.
was for us, right? So
That was awesome.
I never got to meet him before. What were you gonna say?
Yeah, no, I just wanted to finish up your thought. Go ahead.
Oh no, but I was saying when we were doing the interview that he brought that up, and I was just like, oh, okay. Like,
Small world.
Yeah, small world.
Yeah. Nah, Reese is good people's.
One thing I wanted to ask you about, it's in regards to this moment in time, which I'm gonna pull up over here.
Oh, man.
Oh, I already know
And-
this.
Oh, man.
Let me just get this ready over
I
here.
already think I know
And
where you're
then-
going to go with this one.
I know where
I want to know what can you tell us about this photo? When was it from? What was the state of the vehicle? And what can you tell us about this moment in time in this photo?
I'm looking at my bumper. I was like, crap, I need a new bumper.
While you're
It's-
thinking, I'm gonna give you a little liquid encouragement.
We're at Homestead Speedway. I don't know if we were doing a demo. It was for an
Yeah,
event.
it was a demo.
It was a
It was a
demo.
demo.
And I remember I was coming. I mean, I forgot like the ways of the track, but it was the reverse way because where you would enter the track, and then you would enter that one S turn, I guess going downhill, and then I remember we were going uphill, and on the transition, my car just decided to say, "Hey, let's go straight." It just, as it kicked sideways, it just for some reason caught some grip, and it just wanted to go sideways, and I went head first into the gravel. And like my whole, and if that's what you're kind of referring to, almost my entire front end up to like my grill was in the gravel. They had to tow me out.
Well, I'm
surprised my bumper even lasted that much.
Right. Well, I'm not really talking about like what transpired, that what caused this.
That's what came to my mind.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry, but I'm just thinking about because many people may not realize or may not know how far back you guys go. So this is sort of kind of like throwing it back to kind of give people a reference, because right now you're with this S13. And people may think like, oh, well, these guys are just starting off, but there's a history here. And many times that history is perhaps forgotten. And so we're trying to sort of kind of highlight that. The fact that it's like you've had a history, you've had this vehicle at a time where many people weren't even considering the looks, which I recall there was a point where I thought that was Paul for a moment.
No.
Anywho, there was a time that you guys actually made a statement that, and this is on the forum, where it's like you mentioned that people needed to, take notice of like how they present themselves, not only as individuals, but most importantly their vehicles, because you would just see these like random colored body panel of the 240s just out and about trashing the track, but cool, whatever. But at the same time, it's like I think that it ties into the professionalism that you had at that time that many people sort of kind of like overlooked, because the way how you guys sort of were uniformed in many ways kind of showed with this, because I could just go ahead and like show more photos, but I think going back to the point is that this is back in 2007.
Right. The presence you guys brought to a track, when you guys would roll up, people were like, whoa, these guys, like, I don't know if you realized it or not. You may not have, because a lot of times you don't see it. Like, you like your car, you did it a certain way, but when you guys would come up uniform and all the cars were clean, same color, and all the panels, which was rare back then, looking nice and going out there and performing, the presence that you brought, what you brought to the events, even though they were little grassroots events, was, I mean, people remember that. It was awesome.
Shant always had a big emphasis on style.
Right.
Yeah. I think MSC events was what really inspired us to like have a nice clean body kit, full painted panels, matching teams.
But I mean, you did it together. Like if one car pulls up, you're like, okay, but you guys came as a crew. And it made a whole difference.
We hung out every night, man.
Yeah.
Right.
We hung out every night. We were in front of the shop till 2, 3, 4 o'clock in the morning while we had to get up at 7 or 8 to get ready for work. I mean, we're young. We were able to do that. Now I'm dead for the whole day. But, we had the same passion. We had the same vision. We would just talk about it. Again, we would watch these videos and just see how synchronized each team was. And, like, we were such a close group. We were just like, why don't we share the same passion? Why don't we actually execute it? And it took a lot of work. I remember Jerome's car was spotted with several areas, sanding it down to get it looking good. Same with my brother's car. I mean, Chelsea back in the day is Miata. We painted it at our shop.
Remember his gold Miata? He painted that over like 2 days.
And
fully stripped down, painted it, got it ready for a Homestead event. Or no, Hialeah event.
No, Homestead.
Hialeah.
No, it had to be Hialeah.
No, that
Chelsea's
was
gold Miata.
No, that was
no, we
Hialeah.
didn't. Chelsea didn't do Homestead. Chelsea didn't do Homestead because we were in charge of Homestead at the time.
because I never did Hialeah.
Yeah. I went there with him the day.
Oh,
he
really?
It. Yeah, it was like still tacky when we were like driving to the event.
Like bugs are getting
stuck to it.
I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah, because Chelsea wasn't down here at the time. I don't think he was, because I know we would have called him.
Yeah,
we had Ryan. Ryan was kind of hanging out with you guys then too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Ryan was around that time.
Yeah.
Yep.
So that was. I don't know if this was the first Homestead, but this was one of the.
It was one of the early ones.
But this version of my car though is when we actually started trying to be more competitive, be more professional. Mm-hmm. Because at one point all of our cars were black. There was really no livery on it other than the Night Monkeys Old English
right on the back
written on the back panel. But again, we wanted to be a little bit more competitive when it came to our driving, to be attract more, obviously, company sponsors, things like that. So this was around the time we started being more competitive and competing in other events other than just in South Florida, where we added the livery on the car, Aero-K massive on the side, a couple of our sponsors. Revware was a big sponsor of ours. They supplied all of our t-shirts. RYO was a distributor that we were actually importing parts in from Japan, but we kind of had like a semi-sponsorship where they gave us free coilovers for the cars. So, you know, this was a professional stage. My favorite stage, though, the car went through so many different stages, but when it was just all black, like a hugged your ass kid on it. Just the simplicity, you know?
Right. And that was your first drift car?
That was my first drift car, yeah.
And how long did you have it?
I had it for 11 years. I believe 11 years. I bought it in 2004 and sold it maybe 10 years. Sold it in 2015.
That's you and Ryan. Yeah. It's Ryan Kaufman's Miata.
Yep.
Yep.
You have more pictures?
Yeah, I got a couple more that I could pull up.
Yeah.
Damn, man, you're making me miss my S14.
That was when we did that demo, when we first went out there and they put us in those garages, I was just like, wow, this is like this.
I know, right?
This is
What
insane.
a treatment.
We're not in the grass. You know, it was what treatment? You know, we were still the best, you know,
And especially like those in the garage setting like that with the lighting, cars just look insane.
Yeah, it did. And it was one of the events where I remember Jeremy Lowe was out there with the red smoke tires, which we talk about all the time.
Yep.
And we were just like, they flipped out when they saw the red smoke. And he had to change his tires.
Let me just pull that out there.
It was actually great to see J-Lo again after a while too, because he was judging judging the clutch kickers.
Yeah.
Nice.
I remember I heard that. I mean, I didn't get a chance to really like see him, but it's nice to see old faces kind of getting back involved. And I know Dan Chilton got his car running recently. You know, recently, I think within the last year. I don't know if he's done any events or not, but it's nice to see he still has his white FC, and you know, it's just.
Harry Travolta's got a car now too.
Yeah.
I haven't seen it yet.
Harry's building another, I think, LS BMW, right?
Yeah.
LS BMW.
Yeah, from what I understand. We got video.
Yeah, we got video.
Oh, look at that. I think this is after you went today. Oh, old classic.
Back when we had grainy videos.
Yep.
You can tell this is a long time ago.
Yeah. There's no filter.
Albert, what's his name?
Looking good. And what was the power plant in there at this time?
It was an S13 SR20 motor. At this stage, because when the car was red is when I went the GT28. But at that stage, it was stock SR, T25 turbo, obviously exhaust, intercooler blow-off valve, just a very reliable tune off of SAFC, Z32 MAF. That's it. And it was running, that was probably around 14 pounds of boost. And on the T25, I remember this because everybody was just completely surprised at the numbers, but it put 288 to the wheels with like 240 feet-pounds of torque on a T25 at 14 pounds of boost.
That's doing pretty good back in the day.
That was reliable for a while.
Right, exactly. All day long.
Yeah.
That motor ran me for 8 years. And you guys know all the events I did.
Yeah.
And for a good while, I daily drove the car. Yeah,
Okay.
8 years until my valve seal started to go. And I was like, all right, it's time for a rebuild. And then I went GT28, bigger injectors and a better tune. And the car put, I think, like 340, 350 to the wheels. And that was fun, man. That was fun until I blew the motor.
Well, let me ask you this. We've known you traditionally to have the S14. Is there a particular reason why? Is there is it the looks? Is it just the what do you attribute to the fact that you were so attracted at that time to the S14?
Honestly, when I went back and said the GP Sports advertisement, there was a black Kooky, and I said, wow.
Okay.
It was dropped on some deep dish 18-inch like VIP wheels with black faces, GP Sports kit, and the car just looked amazing. And I said, I want a black Kooky. And plus, I love the headlights. It's just badass, you know? But that advertisement really inspired a lot for me, for us, for Aero-K, just by looking at those two cars just like chilling side by side.
What's funny is though, right before he bought the S14, he nearly got a S13 hatch.
A red one, yeah.
He was like dead set.
Really?
Wasn't it a single cam?
Did your brother
also?
have his S13 already?
No, my brother had literally a complete Spoon Sports inspired EG Civic. I mean, literally.
Okay.
Interesting.
We're always in the cars, and like, you know, obviously my brother being older than me, you know, he had the toys first, but he had a red, very clean EG hatch on Spoon wheels, Spoon hood, Spoon lip, Spoon, everything Spoon inspired. But he had a fully balanced and blueprinted B16 motor with like a massive turbo, and that thing
60 millimeter, I think.
like
On a B16.
scared the shit out of me. I'll tell you that right now. I mean, you cannot even touch the dash in third gear in that car. Pacific Performance. I don't know if Steven at Pacific. He built the motor. He built the motor.
Yeah, Stefan was not Stefan. Stefan was doing a lot of tuning, I think, over. But Christian, a friend of mine, Christian, used to run. I think he ran a Integra or something. I forget what it was. It was a red car, but he would do a lot of Pacific stuff.
Yeah, but yeah, that car was a beast. But I got my S14 because again, we really started watching a lot of drifting, and my brother's like, yeah, screw this front wheel drive car. So he ended up selling it.
Funny story, before any of us had a Nissan, we were cruising in the Honda Civic down on A1A. And I think Rafi's clutch, we are just driving normal. His clutch just like fell apart.
The clutch spring.
Yeah.
That's what it was.
So we were like stranded on the side of A1A next to the Intracoastal. It was like summer day.
Hot.
Like, thankfully, I think we had a cell phone by then. But like,
Still,
yeah. But like, we're waiting for a tow truck for hours. We're swimming in the Intracoastal. Is like the only way to cool off. And we're just like standing by the car waiting, and a Nissan S14 slowly drives by, and the guy sticks his head out. He's like, should have bought a Nissan. And keeps driving.
And we were just like,
it was a nice Zenki too.
He's right.
Yeah.
He's right. Like, we couldn't say anything.
It must have been like 2003 when that happened.
Probably like 02, 03, somewhere around there.
Yeah.
well, look at my brother. He looks like all like. Here, turn the other camera on. Oh, you he has like a suit on and stuff. He came from a business party. What I was gonna say is we're gonna take a quick commercial break, and I want to thank Smoke Daddy.
Oh, okay.
Smoke Daddy for providing the. This is
right.
So shout out to Savio Silva. Salud. Is that what they say, right?
Salud.
And this is a Brazilian moonshine kind of green stuff. Yeah, it's good. It's good stuff. If you need, I have some lemonade. But thank you. Sponsored by Smoke Daddy.
Cheers.
All right.
Cheers.
Cheers, guys.
All right, you don't have to drink the whole thing in one shot if you don't want. But... Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
That'll start a car for sure.
You guys got a lighter?
Yeah. He brought it.
Man.
So that was pretty good, right? I got a little bit more.
All right. I think
Could smell it from here.
Yeah, you
I think
can.
this one's going to kind of hit me a little bit. I think I had some pasta before coming here, something to stoke it up.
Yeah, I can't. What's the
up, man?
gums? What's the gums?
How you doing?
How you doing, man?
We met back like long time ago. Yeah, man, long time ago.
You really long beard.
Yeah, really long beard. Okay, so how's your brother been? I don't get to see him that much anymore.
He's been
Hardly
good,
ever.
man. He's good. He's up in Vancouver.
Is he drifting at all? Is he trying to get? No?
Nah. He's just.
I see a lot of nice pictures.
Well, I remember when he first moved up there, he ended up buying a right-hand drive Toyota Aristo. That was his daily for a little bit.
It's a little easier to get there, aren't they?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a lot easier to get. Yeah, actually, when I went and visited him back in 2016, there was like a corner lot from his house, a random used auto shop, and there was a couple like right-hand drive cars there. Like it was just so random to see, and it's like tucked away. Like if you don't know about these cars, you would have no idea that there's like these specialty cars just sitting in the lot. But no, he had the Aristo for a little bit until he met his girlfriend, which now is his wife, and she got pregnant and needed more of a family type car, and he ended up getting rid of it. But he's doing good, man. He's living the life up there. He just got a good job. Got 2 boys. He's either on the boat if it's not snowing, or he's in the mountains skiing when it is snowing.
Nice. Okay, so we kind of covered some of the history. Let's get into why you're here today. Well, one of the reasons why. One, we just want to have you on just to talk and reminisce over good old days.
I could do this all day.
Yeah, I know, and we can too. But we have some product here. I don't know, Ben. Do you have a camera? They can see that or no?
I could adjust something.
Okay, adjust something. Or you maybe get the one from outside. Just bring it in. Maybe not. I don't know. Yeah, he's got one. We're covering the car out there.
Oh,
so we can see the car.
Oh, okay.
So while Ben works on the camera angle, tell us about what brought you. Because so you got the car, and now you're kind of getting back into the bug, right? Because you took some time off, family, and getting family things pulls us away. So what inspired your decision to move forward into starting to make a merchandise?
So basically, you know, Shant and I, we've had a friendship basically our entire lives, you know, longer than we've been alive. We've been friends. And always Aero-K has been a big part of that. Even when we separated, lived our own lives, it's always been about, you know, Aero-K. It's always kind of been in the background of thought. You know, we've always still loved cars, Nissan specifically, 90s Japanese sports cars. And I got into like metal fabrication, welding, things like that. So that was kind of my career direction. Shant, he's a banker. And, you know, kind of we're at this point in our lives where we're kind of settled. We got our things figured out, but Aero-K is always still there, you know?
Right.
So we're like, what can we do? How can we reincorporate that? You know, how can we kind of bring this like idea back to life and kind of in a business sense?
Okay.
So we just kind of combined our skills and, you know, with my experience with metal fabrication and forming, things like that, and Shant's ideas with styles and business experience.
Right.
And kind of the idea was like, let's start off kind of simple with like interior dress up,
Okay.
you know,
Right.
simple, nothing like too performance oriented, just more like make the interior look nice.
Okay.
And so basically, you know, the first stage shift knob, you know, it's metal, stylish,
Yeah.
it's an easy upgrade.
Right. So you metal fabrication. I want to stop you there for a second. So what are you weld or you do like custom?
Yeah,
like
I've been
boat
welding
stuff,
for
or?
about 20 years.
Oh, okay.
It actually started with working on cars, crashing
Okay.
my S14 and, you know,
Yeah.
taking the
Right,
radiator
right.
support off and
Yeah.
welding something else on, things like that. But that kind of like turned into a passion and
It was
a
like
career
the
after that.
wild scientist at the shop.
Oh,
Yeah.
It's like, I'm gonna figure something out. It's gonna work. He made it work.
Yeah.
Right.
He made it work.
Okay. And then was that Night Monkey design from? I don't remember that back then. Did you have that design back then?
Yeah,
Oh, you
that's
did.
original.
Yeah.
I
That's
don't.
the
I
original
always
design.
remember that is the biggest thing I remember. And the old English Night Monkeys is what I always remember.
So originally, though, the Night Monkey was the monkeys on a barrel silhouette.
Okay. That yes. Okay.
Yeah.
That I
So
remember.
that was kind of where it started. And then I went to school for industrial design. So I was actually in one of my classrooms and I'm just kind of like doodling away. And I ended up coming up with like kind of design like that, you know, with the keychains. And that's where literally it's actually on the shirt right here.
Yeah.
That's, you know, I sketched it out. Actually, I'm not going to lie. I had a kid in my in one of my classes. He was like a cartoon.
Okay.
Like, you know, he was really good at drawing like animated cartoons, things like that. I had the bare skin and bones that I drew, but he put in some of the fine details on it.
Right. I got you.
And he's like, dude, he goes, that's really cool, man. He goes, let me see it. I was like, yeah, sure. He took it. He's like, you mind? I was like, no, go for it. And he put some fine details. I was like,
Oh.
damn, all right.
all right,
So it's
yeah.
really good. He's
Yeah.
like, you know, and he put all the details in because I was more of a mechanical, you know, I like
Right.
I'm more of a mechanical type designing, drawing, things like that. So, you know, I wasn't really into like cartoonish stuff like that, but he put in the details of it. And I was like, dude, that looks badass. And I said, hell yeah. So we ended up
We ran
making
with
that
it.
the logo. Yeah.
Good deal. So then you're doing the shift. I don't know.
Not yet.
Not yet. Okay.
Almost.
Almost trying to get the camera down here. So got the Night Monkeys. We're doing, I didn't want to go through all the stuff right now because I can't see it right now.
Well, to kind of piggyback off what he said
There
while
you
we're
go.
kind of waiting.
Piggyback.
So, you know, like you mentioned, I mean, we've been friends since the 8th grade. I mean, we met because I had a DuPont magazine in my backpack and we saw
Okay.
I
Ferrari
probably had the same one at home.
F355 and he goes, bro, I love that car. I said, me too. And we've been best friends ever since, you know? So like, you know, we both of us, you know, recently kind of went through something where it's like, you know, I feel like as close as we were brought us actually a little closer. And we've always had that same passion for Aero-K. And we just never wanted that name to die off. Even though we literally took a 10, 11-year hiatus, I still, that name still carried.
It's like the glue that held you guys together.
Literally.
Right. It's really what keeps you guys together.
And in our
Yeah.
phones, we have a group chat of all the Aero-K dudes
Really?
from my brother, Dean, Phil, Chelsea, Jose, never answers, Ryan,
Never answers.
and me and Jerome. So we still continue like
I can
talk almost every day, not every day, but almost every other day. We still communicate through our group
Really?
text messages.
Okay.
Yeah, just like
absolutely.
BSing about cars, joking,
Yeah.
making fun of each other, things like that.
Yeah, like Chelsea sent a text today about when him and Ryan went to the Caribbeans for a drift demo.
Oh, yeah.
They were just doing some rowdy stuff with the
launching.
cars
Yeah,
there,
yeah.
and he even put it in that video, which was funny, you know. But that just shows, you know, it takes, you know, we've been doing this for a long time, but we're still a very, very close group, you know. Like
That's kind of the unique thing about Aero-K is that besides the fact that we all love cars so much, we're like best friends. We're like all very close besides the drifting aspect of it.
If you could think of one memory that you could pick as your favorite memory of Aero-K as together.
No, I can tell you this right now.
Go ahead. What would it be?
Ocala.
Hell yeah.
Wow. Okay, so obviously
yeah.
it's shared.
Yeah, our drive to Ocala. Or even just the road trips in general back in the day. We're like,
There was one Ocala in particular, all the cars were black.
Yeah.
And we were like 7 deep.
yeah, hell yeah. We rolled 7 deep and we
Who was
were
all there?
kind of,
Everybody was there?
it was everybody. It was me, Jerome, Rafi, Jose,
SMDG
Phil,
was also there.
SMDG was
okay.
there, yeah. But Phil, Yosef, remember Yosef back in the day
Yeah.
with his S13? I'm missing one more. Either way, we rolled massive cars deep, all black, all have the same Aero-K Night Monkeys, and we were out of our jurisdiction.
Yeah.
So it was our first show to everybody outside of the Tri-County area, and everyone was just like, who the hell are these
You
Night
guys,
Monkey guys?
they just show up like 7 cars deep.
And the
Yeah.
reason why we kind of chose Night Monkeys also, to go back to that, how can you forget that name?
You can't.
You cannot.
No.
So like it's like stamped in you the moment you see it.
Right.
Like these guys with all black cars called Night Monkeys, I feel like nowadays with everybody being so sensitive, I feel like I really hope people don't think,
I mean, not so politically correct, but no, it was great.
But yeah, and that road trip going to Ocala, we all had 2-way radios in the car. So we all talked. We were huge
None
into
of the cars broke down.
Exactly. None of the
That's
cars
another
broke
reason why you
down.
remember that trip.
But the best part about it is we were at the shop till almost 12, 1 o'clock in the morning, and then we would hit the road at 12, 1 o'clock in the morning to drive down to Ocala. So it was like in the middle of the night, like
get there
right,
first thing in the
4 or 5
morning
hour
Yeah.
for the
drive.
driver's meeting.
Plus, we still made a couple of stops,
Right.
And and we are huge System of a Down fans. Like when we were working on our cars, getting ready for events, we were blasting System of a Down. So while listening to those System of a Down and Gorillas, that was another
Gorillas, yeah.
group
Yeah, Gorillas, yeah.
that whenever I listen to any of those two bands, reminds me of going down to
Definitely,
Ocala.
yeah.
And it was just such an amazing weekend. And that's the
Do you remember which D-Day it was?
I think it was 2. The
D-Day.
second event.
No, I think it was like D-Day 8, 7 or 8.
Oh yeah, well it was our second.
Yeah,
event.
our second.
Yeah.
I think it was our second Ocala
Yeah.
event.
Yeah, it was 7 or 8.
yeah.
from what I can remember.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
So
that was a very
Aero-K's
fun- that was
Night
a
Monkeys
very fun
heading to
memory.
Ocala.
That was a very fun memory, man.
There's one other drift night that we had. It was like
Okay.
a light drizzle, and there was like 9 cars that were all running good. And we were like, we were just drifting around this building
the warehouse.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
for
Yeah,
hours.
we had a spot. I mean, we were lucky because one of our neighbors at our shop in Corporate Park, he knew a lot of the police department, so like
that helps.
he knew,
we give him a little heads up.
right. He knew the cops that were patrolling the Corporate Park area, at nights, because only specific
Right.
And so we would ask him, be like, hey, listen, we want to have some fun. It was an abandoned building, so it's not like, obviously we'll take full responsibility if anything happens. So he would just call them up and they would give him the okay. So he goes, go ahead. And he goes, if we have to tell them to leave, they just have to leave. We're like, absolutely.
No problem.
So there was nights where SMDG was there
Yeah.
also some nights, and we were like,
There was
7 to
one
10.
night in particular.
Dude,
I
I just
came
remember
together.
I'm coming into the first turn, and there's 6 cars in front of me, sideways, angled, and I'm with them, and I'm like, I can't believe this is happening.
yeah.
And
This
we
is-
don't
this
have
is-
to worry about cops,
Right,
because
right.
We
Takes
literally
that
have
stress
the
out.
okay. And there was times where they said, hey, you guys gotta go. We're like,
Right.
okay. And, we
And it was
drove
like
away.
super technical, slow speed,
Yeah.
but it was just so much fun.
good.
I mean,
some-
there was one area where you just snap it and you're just going full sideways straight at a wall.
Yeah,
And, then you,
the building.
and then you snap it again and go
So
around the
good.
side. It was,
But you're going slow enough where it's
Yeah.
just
Right.
like just straight up like slow motion.
and
drift.
sometimes
Right.
we take a hose and like spray it all down.
Absolutely, we get
Yeah.
we bought like a really long hose, and we went from our shop building to
the next
There was like a
building.
little like ditch where it was like a little like canal, so there was a board that we would kind of like cross over, and we would just connect the hose from there to there, and we would just hose down the initiation. So like we don't have to initiate fast, make a
Right.
lot of noise,
Right.
So we just get into it, and then as you're into it, and back then we had 16s and shitty tires,
Right, yeah, exactly.
so like we would just slow motion drifting, bro, throughout the
we,
entire.
we removed like the parking spots.
Oh, okay, yeah.
to
So
do
you
dirt drops.
We went and got crowbars and we moved the parking stumps like
Okay.
the side, but then we put them back.
Yeah,
we
yeah.
weren't,
Well, at
we
least
weren't
yeah,
a-holes
you're
about it.
responsible.
Yeah,
Responsible
then we
Night
put them
Fuck
mess,
yeah.
but we were moving out to give us more room to be able to extend out.
Right.
And literally there was nights where we were there for hours, bro, just drifting.
Having a blast.
Yeah.
That's it.
Wow.
Not a care in the world.
All right. So Ben has a camera ready. Let's go ahead and show us what you got here.
All right. So our signature lines right now is our shift knobs. We have matching horn buttons with it, but again, our pride and joy is when it comes to our shift knobs, and I cannot stress the quality of these knobs. If you look at a lot of the aftermarket knobs right now, they all come with adapters. They all come with sleeves to be able to fit them with different applications. Yes, I get it. It's convenient, but you know what? Your transmission gets hot. Those adapters could, from the heat,
There's glue inside.
No,
and-
they're garbage.
Right.
Yeah.
The sleeves could break. These are direct thread to specific applications. So it doesn't require any of that stuff.
Okay.
You know, so it's threads right on. So it's good for a lifetime. Literally probably lasts longer than your car. You know, we have two different actual designs, couple of different decal designs. You know, we have our original OG here, because of the black, the original, as you see on the shirts.
Right.
I wanted to do something, you know, the blue really caught to me. Like my favorite is the blue, to be honest with you, because, you know, when I look at it, it reminds me of like the Calisonic Skylines. from back
Okay.
in the day.
Yeah.
So we have the 5-speed. We also comes with a 6-speed, the H pattern. It is more towards the Japanese 6-speed,
Right.
Because of where reverse sits. You know, but you do have the two designs with the H pattern. Then you have the brushed also decals also that comes with the 5-speed and 6-speed. So again, a lot of ours are polished, but it does come in a brush finish as well,
like
as
the
you
brush.
see here. The brush honestly has been the biggest hit, to be honest
Really?
with you. Absolutely. I love the polish. To me, it's just a classic design on the polish. But the brush has been more of a popular hit. But we're trying to show off, like, you know, really bring back old like 90s design, but affordable. If
Right.
you look at, you know, old school Momo knobs, old school Nismo knobs, which is kind of what these designs are after, they're selling for so much money, man. And the funny part is, I don't want to say names, but somebody bought a Aero-K shift knob to replace their Nismo one, because Nismo ones, they cost a lot of money. It's
Right.
the original Nismo.
Right.
You know what? It's sleeved. So when you
Really?
went to go take it off to put ours on, it broke.
It's literally falling apart.
Literally fell apart.
Wow.
So now he can't use that shift knob. So, you know, that's where that's why I want people to know that these, you're not going to have any of those issues. It's just as simple as the design, gives that old period correct design
Simple,
at an
clean.
affordable price, man.
Right.
You know, and you know, we're very happy with what it came out. I mean, there's a good weight to it. It's not too light. It's not too heavy. And then we also have the matching horn buttons where obviously you could have it complement whichever decal that you decide to get. The horn buttons fit most steering wheels. Some has to be modified based
Right.
on the type of steering wheel. But you know, it's something I like to complement together. And then we sell other stuff. We have our apparel. We have the Night Monkey shirt, and one of us should have wore it. We have some keychains, air fresheners. Obviously, if you buy a good amount of gear with us, we're gonna throw some of those in for you know, our customers, just as a thank you. But yeah, like we just want to get the brand out, show people that again, these are quality designs, quality products. That again, it's that old school like design that I feel like you can't find now. It's kind of hard unless you're looking for an old school Japanese shift
Right.
knob that are selling for like $250.
Right. Yeah, I was actually going through the drive-through at a Starbucks today, and the girl was like, "Oh, I like that air freshener."
Oh,
Like
yeah?
I was like,
Oh,
oh,
nice,
yeah. I was like,
nice.
oh man, I wish I had I was like, oh, check out Aero-K. She's like, oh, okay. I mean, she knew nothing about cars really, but she was like, oh, that's cool. Yeah, she liked it. Yeah.
Well, one thing I actually regret,
No, she liked the car.
I made a whole bunch of these. I should have put Aero-K somewhere on here, but you know, it's got to help.
Well, we live and we learn.
Exactly.
So, but you're gonna run a special for the weekend because for the show, right?
100%.
So what is a special?
So we're giving 20% off on all of our Shift Knob products. So all the way till the end of day Sunday.
Okay.
So 20% off the price right now through the website, which is aerokdesigns.com. Obviously, again, we're always wanting to give out some free stuff. I got some decals, throw in an air freshener. I have an Aero-K vinyl. You know, I'll throw in obviously. We have the shirts also, which are kind of discounted as well for $20 for the shirt. But we have two designs on the shirt as well.
Code word drift sessions.
Yep.
Okay.
Code word is drift sessions. Runs all the way to end of day Sunday, and the 20% is off all the shift knobs.
Tight work. That's sweet. Okay, so now we're going to transition a little bit into drifting today. I want to get your. So when's the last drift event you've been to? Was it the Fuel Fest?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, the one where I was when I got into the car with Chelsea.
So
Yeah.
yes.
Yep.
So
Was it Fuel Fest? No.
No.
I'm sorry. Yes, that was the last time we saw each other at a
Yes,
Drift event.
right.
last drift then I went to it was Clean Culture actually, which was at
South Florida
same
Fairgrounds.
place.
Yes, okay.
And yeah, I didn't even know what was happening. Chelsea called me up. He goes, "Hey man, I'm in town." Well, actually, he put in the group message, "Hey, I'm in town. You guys should come out. We should definitely get some laps in this and this." I replied back to him, be like, "Hell yeah, I'm in." I was actually just by myself that night. I gave my son to his grandma as babysitter. I said, "Hell yeah, I'm gonna go down there." And I'm so happy I did, man. I was literally riding along Chelsea the entire time. And like I said earlier, the level of driving of this guy,
Oh
man,
yeah, it's
unreal.
insane. It's
Unreal.
insane.
But that was the last drift event I've been to. I think the last one was Fuel Fest for you.
Fuel
right?
Fest for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
how
we went
was
together?
how was that how many years before that was it since you'd been to a drift event?
It's been a few years for me, definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah. I would still watch it online,
Right.
watch FD, of course, supporting Chelsea, but haven't been to an event in a while.
Well, what is your opinion in regards to the progression of the sport?
Right.
Because there was
I'm impressed. I really love it.
right.
Yeah.
Because there was a time where it was promising, it was up and coming. That this is back when 2007, and so we're sort of kind of like trying to figure things out, and then it just got to a point where like, oh, this is just a fad. This is just it'll go away, it'll fizzle out, but then all of a sudden it has regained some sort of resurgence. But from
Definitely.
your point of view, what has the drifting, the sport, the progression of it, what have you witnessed?
I would say just throughout the years of trial and error that all the drifters now are kind of benefiting from that, where it's not so much experimenting, but going straight into what works and maybe getting inspired by better drivers. I see young drivers just kind of entering at a much higher level than kind of where, especially for us, where we started, where there wasn't so much an example to follow, where we were just kind of figuring it out
On your own, yeah.
Now you see younger guys driving at a level, that FD guys are basically driving at, just because they see that skill.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think there's more.
Our we didn't see those types of
Yeah, I mean,
drivers
we were
'cause
watching like
watched
Toge videos,
Yeah, that's what
886 going
Gran
uphill
Turismo,
and things
Right,
like
Gran
watching
that.
Turismo
Initial
2,
D, right?
Gran Turismo 2, that's where we got our practice from. But yeah, no, I agree 100% with Jerome. I mean, just where the sport has gone is just incredible with even technology wise. I just feel like me nowadays, I was pretty good on hands-on on cars, but I wasn't technical at all.
Right.
So like that's why I like this. My S14 was set up pretty simple, reliable, because I didn't want to have to work on it all this time. I want to
wanna
get
have
in the
fun.
car and drive. That's it. So now it's just like with the technology and the engineering put in these cars, I'm just like, holy crap! Like I would have to literally hire somebody to do a build for me.
Right.
There's no way I could keep up with any of this stuff. But just the skill level, and you could see in every driver, it's just progressed. And one thing though that I'm happy to see nowadays, because I feel like the style of drifting has changed. Okay?
Yes, absolutely.
It has changed.
Yes.
Am I fond of it? The driving makes up for it. Straight up. People are more skilled than they are now, but the style has changed. But what makes me happy to see is Final Bout.
Yes. Okay,
With
Final
the
Bout gives you
team-
that old yes.
With the team, it gives you that
Not too much smoke, it's kinda like-
grassroots style where, one thing, and again, I'm not, people might bash me for
That's
this,
fine.
but the thing about FD, the skill is there. Okay. Not crazy about the style. The skill is there, but they push so much power where you barely see the car following them. They're lost in smoke, which that's where the skill comes in, because you got to have a lot of skill to be able to follow in a 1,000 horsepower car as close as possible. But from a spectator, it's so hard for me to see the in sync of drifting, which is what I fell in love with when I first started watching.
I got you.
Where, back in the day, 400 or 500, they're still dumping smoke, but when they're tandeming, you saw like that. I don't know, like that
synchrony, the choreography. That's a great word.
Perfect word for it. Exactly, and me coming from an art background, like that's why I always wanted to make that's why I made that statement back in the day that you said that the presentation, like your style of your car showed the driver, and then your driving showed like just the in sync you had with your car, I guess, like the uniqueness you had. And like I feel like that's a little lost right now. Like even D1 Japan, I feel like, because it's just ridiculous now.
Yeah. Gripped up, a lot of smoke.
Right.
Yeah.
And it hides the whole definition of drifting and tandeming to me. You know, that's just my opinion.
I get it, but I love it.
Yeah, you love it.
Yeah.
So you like it
I
better?
love the new style.
Oh, you love the
Yeah.
new style. Okay.
Yeah, definitely.
I'm actually more of the Shant's. I kind of agree with him. I mean, it's cool to watch, but you got a great point.
Becomes very redundant.
Well, so I was watching every once in a while. There's a video and it's on YouTube, and it's like relaxing music, and it's just all final bout, all that track where they're just going. You know what I'm talking about, right?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And I literally
watched
just
it
sit there
like
and
that.
watch it, and I'm like, it's just so pleasant to watch, right? Because they're just all. They're all switching all at the same time.
yeah.
There's not much smoke, right? The cars don't seem like that. All slam, very stylistic. I enjoy watching that, even though there's no competition aspect to it. It's very.
It's like
It's-
the pure
yes.
essence of
Purity, the
drifting.
grassroots
Yes.
of drifting. And I also think because that's where we grew up in.
Okay.
Within the sport.
Yeah, I guess,
that's
yeah.
what we got used to
Little
seeing.
bias,
you know,
yeah.
like sometimes you like that nostalgia, you know, which like I said, the sport has progressed. I'm happy it's progressing. The skill level is insane. I never ever thought in my life being a big drifting fan, that drifting would evolve to 1,200 horsepower cars.
Yeah, it's insane.
Not once in my life.
Like on
did I-
average, like not even
Yeah.
like one or two. Like,
Exactly.
yeah.
No, every car is pushing over 1,000 horsepower. You have 800 horsepower, which is still a lot. You know, you would think that I don't know, me growing up, when I heard 600 horsepower, I would think of a McLaren F1, a Ferrari F50,
Yeah.
you know, or like a drag car. You
Right.
know what I'm saying?
Right,
like
right,
a funny
right.
car. I never thought a freaking,
Yeah, it
12
never seemed necessary for a drift
You know,
car.
Right.
like-
it was like overkill.
Yeah.
Right. So, I mean, that's just, again, where my opinion's at. Again, I think skill level has progressed, and I'm happy with that progression. But my personal opinion is I just like the old grassroots style, because it just brings more of that originality of drifting.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's just
Yeah. I agree with that.
It's all grip.
Yeah, grip.
Right, you are.
Everybody looks like they're driving monster trucks, right? They're all jacked up because they want the squat and the soft suspension.
But again, from a technology and engineering standpoint, it works.
Well,
That's why they have to do
I'm a little
It's
biased,
competitive,
but
right?
Chelsea kind of brings all that together.
he does.
Yeah,
He does,
100%.
No one's got his style on the track.
No. That's one thing he brings, and that's what
Yeah.
that's the thing with Chelsea, is that he's exciting to watch. In the BMW, he's always exciting to watch. You knew he was going to always put all out on the line, right?
Yeah.
He was going to go all the way. You knew if you're battling, you had your hands full. You could only hope he broke or he did something,
Right.
to screw himself up or something like that, because he goes way too hard sometimes, right? But it has put him in a position where he has solidified himself as a unique individual, and not just how he drives, but his character.
His driving makes that Mustang look incredible.
Exactly.
You know, and
Yes.
that's where, again, comes to my point, where back in the days, your presence had a huge key. Yeah, you have to have skill in driving, straight up. But at the same time, if you have the skill, show it off with your car,
Right.
because that car is going to look 100 times better with your skill driving it than anything else. You know,
Yeah.
like then just that was why I had so much of a focus on the styling as well, is because, you know what, I want to be a better driver, but also, you know what, I want my car to look fantastic while I'm
Yes.
a better driver.
Yeah, like my
know?
plan for this car is not to have it jacked up and try to super grip it up. I want to try to keep it as low as possible, because I love that. And we got I don't know, you know Spen? Spen, he did Chelsea's livery in the
On the
E46. Was it E46 or E36?
No, it was an E46.
E46 was kind of like a graffiti style.
Yeah,
It was,
he did one
Yeah, I remember
Yeah.
the graffiti style, but I
yeah,
don't think
so
I-
he's
I
a
don't
friend.
think
He's
I
a friend of mine in design. He come up with livery. So me and Paul are going to do a drift sessions livery on the cars.
Nice.
And we
Nice.
want to capture that old school Japanese style of
yeah.
drifting and be that way and be nice and low and capture that, because we like that, you know, and that I think we need to recapture that. And I would like to see, I would actually like to see that to be a whole separate division,
Category.
genre
Yeah.
of drifting, where, okay,
Yeah.
you have the gripped up guys, and then you have this stylistic, you know, kind of crew where it's not so much about high horsepower, but more about fluidity throughout the track and that dance that you love so much.
And like I've said this for a while too, and we've talked about it, where it's like you have to have your different levels of drifting too to really make the sport, like just really cater to everybody. Like, in Japan, you had D1, you had D1 Street Legal, you had MSC, you had a lot of different variations of different venues and events where it really catered to the level of drifting you want to be at. You want to be a high speed, pro, high horsepower drifting, you're going to try to compete for D1. You want to have more of that fairness where each car has to have the factory engine. That's where D1 Street Legal came in. So you don't have to do these crazy swaps and get all these crazy power to try to have that advantage over other people, And then you had MSC, which is your amateur grassroots drivers that went in and just drove balls to the wall. I loved watching D1 Street Legal and MSC because it was just more of that amateur level, which again, it catered to everybody. If I wanted to compete right now, if my only option is you have clutch kickers, but I support Taxi Garage, Ryan and Nick, and seeing the competition cars, it's like,
not a chance.
two right there.
Right.
Like, what the hell?
Some serious
you have
cars
LZ
there.
and then the BMW pushing 900 horsepower. Like, what is this?
But then you also have Chelsea in his Fox Body Mustang too.
Of course.
So that's the beauty of Clutch Kickers, is trying to be that series that just opens its doors to run what you brung.
And that's awesome to hear.
And the drivers, even the guys that have low horsepower,
I've seen G35 sedans with nitrous.
yeah, G35.
Keep up with 800 horsepower.
Yeah,
Vette.
it's still there.
Yeah.
With Dirk Stratton. So it's the opportunities there to provide those drivers to throw down with the best of the best, right? So it's Clutch Kickers, I think, has definitely been a place to have that just provide the venue or just the event that allows that collaboration of all these different drivers. But to your point, I would like to see different classes, different genres, that you said, right? Different. Okay, this is going to be, low horsepower cars, and it's going to be about style and low, and let's see how they go and let's see how they dance together.
Straight up.
Yeah.
I think that would just bring a whole nother level to drifting and to the community, because now you have more of your amateur drivers that want to get on a competition level because it's fun to compete. You don't want to you want to test your skill levels. You want to drive with other skilled drivers, but within that range of where your skill is at. And I feel like if there was more drift events like that, I feel like it would be good for the sport. Just to have that more of that exposure and cater to more of the community.
As drifting's going right now, where do you think you see drifting in 10 years?
I mean, I've always said it. I mean, I wish to be like NASCAR level, like as big as it possibly can, because I think drifting is the coolest motorsport out there.
Right.
I really hope it gets to that level. I really do.
What about you, Jerome?
It's tough to say. I think there's something unique about drifting where if you're not into it, it can kind of get a little boring when you're watching it, to be honest. But I mean, the way it's progressed over the last 20 years, I think the only direction it's going to go is more professional and more organized and, more popular throughout the world.
We've definitely talked about this before, where it needs to be, something needs to change into it to get a wider audience.
Yeah. Like, I can't wait to watch a FD event, and I'll watch every second of it, but there's some moments where I'm like, man, you're losing audience in these certain moments.
Especially if you're there, I feel like it's a different feeling because you're around a big crowd, the atmosphere. So like sometimes you just have to, you wait way too long in between runs or whatever the case is. But when you're watching it, I agree with Jerome.
It almost needs to be like pre-recorded and edited.
Right, like how like the D1 videos we used to watch. But we talked about this, I think maybe the last FD event that there was. But imagine if like you have to race to see who has the first initiation. And whoever gets to that first initiation, then the person has to follow. And then you have to pass. Because listen, every form of racing is whoever finishes first.
Yes.
Right.
Every form of racing. So how about you have to race to the initiation line, okay? And whoever makes that race enters, and the person following has to try to pass and try to make first place. And that's the person that wins. You have a little bit of a longer track to allow it.
Right.
You don't have your...
Plus, the longer track makes those higher horsepower guys drop down the power because they have to make their tires last.
Yeah.
Exactly. So I think that would kind of it would be cool. It'd be dangerous.
It would be dangerous. It'd be dangerous. Just a little bit.
Car setups might change.
But, imagine the excitement that might bring. I know people are probably like, this guy's crazy,
No, we talked about like how you watch monster trucks, where monster truck went from an actual race
Yes.
to a freestyle event, really. Something has to happen in that where like monster trucks really wasn't getting much views, but now you fill stadiums full of monster trucks because of the way it is. Something has to happen for drifting the same way, because we could barely fill Freedom Factory, but then Florida F2K came in.
It was insane, yeah.
And
To watch drag racing, yeah, insane, thousands and thousands and thousands of people, no problem. And it's just to watch and spend hours in between runs.
It's difficult because remember, there's also people that like, you know, there's friendly betting, there is betting, you know, like they want to say he's gonna win, but now it's judge, so there's always going to be biasness,
Right.
Yeah.
always because of a judged event. So if they try to change something up where it's more of like, you know,
They can get the judges out of the
I
event.
think
You
so.
think that would
I
increase the
think so,
excitement?
Well,
Because-
like Nate Hamilton came up with that idea about like an endurance drifting.
Almost like the Red Bull Challenge.
Mhm.
Something
Yeah, I
like
remember
you
that.
rack up points.
Rack up points,
So it's
but
not a
how long
judged-
You can be out there, and you get like how fast you can do your pit and change your tires, but then you go right back out there and keep on doing points. It's like hot lapping the whole entire track, and whoever's the last wins type deal.
Yeah, but that takes the, you know, it's not tandem anymore at that. Now it's just a one person at a time.
No, but
back
it's
there.
got to change into something. Has to change.
Yeah.
Because it's not a race. Like I was saying, it's not a race. It's not finite, right? You don't have a definite winner. It's always subjective.
Right.
So
So it's going to lead to
until-
confusion for the people that are watching.
There are some events where I disagree with the calls.
Yeah.
I disagree.
Yeah.
You know, then you come and think, be like, okay, is there favoritism? Is there biasness? Like, you know, I hope not, because that would be horrible for the sport. But like, it's just because of the judging of the sport, is, you know, I feel like it's going to be difficult, and I hope I'm wrong, but it's going to be difficult to really get where a lot of these other mainstream motorsports are. I say go balls to the wall. Whoever enters first, back person behind him has to
gotta
pass
pass.
them and pass the finish line.
So you're saying the future of drifting has to, in order for it to progress and increase, we have to eliminate the judges, which I think most judges would be happy with, because judging is a miserable
easy.
position. It
Yeah.
sucks.
Of course.
So interesting.
I don't have a problem with it.
I don't have a problem with it either, because it makes it easy for the audience. They don't have to figure out what are the judges looking at. What are they looking at? Okay, we know, for your instance, okay, the guy that makes it to the line first, he's going to initiate, and if he initiates and he gets an elite position, that chase driver's got to pass him or he loses.
Yeah.
It's
All
like
the-
it's clean
the-
cut, one run and done.
Straight up.
Obviously, you have to
Straight
get some
up.
clips or something.
Well, yeah, it has to be long enough.
course,
That's
of
why I said
course,
make
yeah.
the course longer.
Yeah.
So instead of just 2 or 3 clips,
So
it's
there's
like 7 or 8.
So
Well,
there's
I'm saying you
opportunities.
have to like hit a clip, hit it, and knock it out to be considered like you did that area.
Well, I see what you're saying.
You know what I'm
Like
like some things that markers. So it's not really a judge thing, but as long as you hit that.
I mean,
you
listen,
still beat
there's
'em.
there's
Yeah.
still a line you would have to follow on the
Right.
track, okay? But again, being a more of a longer technical track, you'll have more opportunities to try to pass the other guy.
Yeah.
You know, now if you have an opportunity, you have that much skill to be able to pass from the outside
Mm-hmm.
and get in, you know, I mean, the level of skill these drivers have, I feel like
Right.
it can be done. You know, so like, I don't know, it's just, again, who the hell am I? I'm just a guy that's trying to sell shift knobs that has a bone stock KS13.
No, you're not
but, like,
just a guy. You've been around the scene for freaking ever.
I understand, you know, but I'm just
I
like
gotcha.
that would just bring like so much more, in my opinion, people on the edge of their seat. You know, people really like rooting for. I want that guy to win. Like he's gonna win. You know, given the odds or whatever the case is, it will bring more excitement from a different level. You know, from a spectator, from a viewer, and I think that would make it, because listen, people that want to watch stuff on TV, they, again, NASCAR, I'm sure a lot of them watch it for the crashes,
Right.
You know, and I'm hoping it never, you know, drifting is like, I don't want nobody to crash. I want to
Right.
see some skilled competition,
But it's exciting.
but it's exciting, and
Yeah.
it brings the viewers, it
It
brings
does.
the
Yeah.
venues, the attention, the sponsors, and that's where it's going to be televised, like Formula One, Indy 500, whatever road course racing that I randomly see, where it's just like, why aren't they showing drifting? You
Right.
know. But also the thing with drifting is, look, there's so many different levels of other motorsports. There's really just one level of drifting.
That's a
You
good
have
point.
Pro 2 and then you have FT. You know, where it's like they're both just live streamed on the same day. And then we got to wait for months or weeks for another event. It's just one venue.
Right.
That's why if there was multiple venues and being televised more than just, again, one event every couple of months, more people will keep up, more people will follow. They would know more of the drivers,
Right.
you know. It's just right now also, unfortunately, everything is social media based.
Yes.
I think that's taken a huge hit away from being televised like how other mainstream motorsports are.
Yeah. Well, one thing I will tell you is that we got to go to OSW. Have you been to OSW lately?
Oh, not lately. No,
Not lately. It has OSW, and I really got to give a shout out to Tommy. Tommy's the one who runs it because his focus is on the drivers. It's $50 to do it to do a drift day. It's like it's insane. Now they only take cash, which you got to remember that if you ever go, bring cash, right? They don't take, but he focuses on keeping that old school vibe, right? I want to make it affordable. I don't want to have people have to struggle to try to do a practice day or an event. And it has proven to be just a great formula because what the scene in OSW is insane. How many drivers they have on Black Friday?
As far as I recall, they had 135 drivers
130?
registered.
That is insane. 135 people registered for a drift event.
I mean,
That's insane.
how many laps do these people get?
They get a good amount. I mean, most people break, right? You got the people that break, people that run out of tires, and it's a 3-day event.
Okay.
So it's 3 days, right? So split
With two
up
tracks.
with 2 tracks.
Okay.
So you can go on the oval and you can go on the skid pad.
skid pad, right?
So it's just like, and people camp out at the track. It's like the Black
sounds
Friday
like-
was a great
Sounds like a
event.
fun weekend. Actually.
Yeah, it sounds
It
great.
was a good time. We only got to enjoy it for a little bit because we basically drove up to do the live stream and then we drove back. But Tommy's doing an amazing job. It really is.
I mean that's great to
Crazy how
hear.
many drivers they get.
It was insane, and the level of driving.
Yeah.
I mean, Ben. I mean, you were talking earlier. Like these guys are just pushing it.
Yeah, it's one of those things that was kind of. They've always told us about how crazy it gets in the competition that they have, the King of OSW, and they do it like twice a year for their 2 of their major events. And you kind of got a sense of it with the way how it quickly got sold out, the event, when they put up the pre-registration. It was like in minutes. And they had to actually open up some more spots.
Wow.
And they spoke about just how fun it is over the weekend because people camp out, they have a good time. And at the same time, they kept mentioning, Tommy kept mentioning to us about the King of OSW competition, how like heated it gets. Now, for us, it was sort of a mystery because there wasn't much information, much media out there in regards to it. We did see some clips about it, but we're like, okay, we kind of went in kind of like with low expectations. We're thinking like, okay, well, can't be, that crazy. But the level of skill, the level of driving really blew us away.
Yes.
With the way how they were just on it with one another. The fact that they would have contact, they wouldn't flop, they would still go at it. And thus the transitions and the way how they were just like on it with the proximity game was just crazy. It was just absolutely, just crazy to see and witness firsthand.
No, it was great. It was definitely an exciting event. And one thing I noticed is there's a lot of room on the track, right? So you have the guys that are trying to hit the clips, but then you see this. So you see the guys that want to attack early and then set themselves up for that first attack that first turn, great on the door, but then don't set themselves up for the rest of the course, and you see the lead guy pull away, right? So we saw a lot of that, and I think that ended up being the difference in a lot of the judges' calls.
Right, and it plays towards the experience of some of the drivers where they kind of know like, okay, well, this is what I got to do to kind of like keep up with them, or this is what I got to sacrifice in order to actually just be in line with this individual. But there were just other moments where you could just see that they're kind of starting out. But I think it sort of ties into what we've been sort of highlighting many times in regards to the Cluster Series, where these drivers are sort of taking advantage of the opportunity to go up against these higher skill, higher level drivers and vehicles to be able to obtain that experience, because we never really had that kind of experience before. And I think Jerome, made mention to how we're kind of like figuring things out.
In our beginning days, tandem wasn't even that common. It was a lot of mostly single runs.
You needed a cage back then to tandem. I feel like there's a lot of events now where they're just like, if you have that skill, you don't need a
They
cage.
gotta approve you, right? Like, okay, this guy's consistent, he can tandem.
But I think the argument in regards to the whole tandem is that, and again, it's an argument,
Cars or
with the safety enhancements, with the newer vehicles.
Anything newer than a certain amount of years, they let tandem without a cage.
Yeah,
It's the older cars, like 240s, they won't let.
But even with the cage, we saw recently those 286 Corollas. That one driver that was in a lead, he had a cage. Then you saw the accident that we saw. We talked about.
Oh, you're talking about
The 286 Corollas. Did you see that?
Oh, that's right. I'd have to pull it up. Now that you mention
see
it,
if we can pull it up. So, what we
final bout though, like most of those don't have cages when they're tandeming.
it's a slower course, right?
I guess if that's
And
the
I
case,
think they
right.
approve. I think they do an approval process
based on the driver. Yeah,
Based on the
but
driver.
the thing is, though, no, they have team competitions. That's one of the biggest
That's
things.
right.
with
Yeah,
final
that's
bout.
what makes it
That's
fun.
the thing I
know,
thought
right.
could be popular too. Is instead of like a competition, you have like teams that
Teams,
go out,
yeah.
Which they
and
find
do,
about, yeah.
like a
Right,
show,
right.
and make that more of what drifting is.
Which I feel like MSC holds a lot of the team competitions in Japan, so that's something that they incorporated, and it is exciting to watch
Yeah.
because you have the team drivers that again, it's cool to see all the cars together,
Same color, same
style,
livery.
same color, same everything, and it just makes it way more exciting to watch that because now you're judging more on a team competition instead of a competition towards each
I
other.
think that could be judged on the audience. So I think how much
Right.
you influence
It
the
really,
audience
yeah.
is who
Absolutely.
judges it.
Absolutely.
Whoever the audience wants, I feel like is who should win because that's who really made it impact the audience.
Yeah.
That's where I think drifting really needs to go. Unless they can figure out some way to make it like a race, they need to go to how does the audience make the decision, or
Yeah.
how is the audience just happy that they're watching it? you know?
Right.
Because right
Or
now
like
they don't know
American
what's going
Idol.
on.
They'll go and text.
Yeah,
the
there
winners.
you go. That's You just text 351.
It was bad. It was
Oh
bad.
yeah. Is this on the
Yep.
Oh, so this is on this happened. Now, before you know anything about this, because this is the first time seeing this, correct?
Yeah.
What do you think was the problem with this? Like, okay, looking at
Like how did it happen?
like how did it happen?
I think they're tandeming. Obviously, the gold. That's gold, right?
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Okay. The gold car leading, white car following. I think. The way how they crashed though, it's kind of weird.
So
Because you would figure, because would think the white car, the gold car spun and the white car went straight into the
right.
door.
Yeah.
Right.
But
Unless
on.
if they.
Jerome.
Yeah, that's what I'm gonna say. The gold car almost spun and then kind of just stalled out.
okay, so how far apart do you think they were?
In order to get that damage, pretty far apart.
Pretty far.
Yeah,
But
probably
at the same time, though, if you're that far apart, how do you not be able to kind of avoid it?
Exactly. So this is why I bring this up. I don't know them. I don't know their skill level. So this is not a diss on their level of drifting. But something was going on there and somebody should have been told no. Right? Because like you said, if he was far enough ahead of him
To get that much.
to get that much momentum to impact the side of his car, somebody's not doing it right.
I mean, the white car maybe straightened out and locked up, and
But you figure they're both similar chassis, right? So they've got to be doing about the same speed
Yeah.
down the straightway. So this is the thing that cage doesn't mean automatic approval. I think that's really where I'm going with this. Because you see some guys will pull up, and we've seen it before, they pull up to the track with the cage and like, oh, put me in tandem class. I got a cage. My car passes tech. Yeah, but there needs to be that approval. And I just don't know what was going on here because clearly, if, like you said, they were close enough, even if there were two cars apart, there's no way he should have impacted that so much that gold car had a cage and literally cut the width of the driver's section seat area in half. Like you could see the roll cage, like in the middle of where the seat should be.
damn.
Yeah, that guy got banged up.
Well, let's hope he's all right, man. That's the number
Yeah.
one thing. But yeah, it looked like that white Corolla locked up and went straight into him. But like,
He had to be way back there.
had to be in order to be able to get.
That much momentum. And
It's something. It could have malfunctioned too. Maybe brakes malfunctioned. You never know, because like that's
Could
a
be.
hard impact.
That is a
man.
very hard impact.
That's equivalent to like a car running headfirst into a wall.
That's like a T-bone through an intersection right there.
Yeah,
That's a team out there.
Right.
With the cage, that car had a cage. Now, I don't know. We don't know how well the cage was done either, right? So who knows?
Right.
Because
even so, old AE86 chassis,
Yeah,
it's not
right.
going to hold a
Yeah,
cage in place too
exactly.
well.
That's a good point. Well, so that was a pretty serious accident. That wasn't too long ago. It was like this month or last month.
Yeah, that was
2 weeks ago.
Two
Yeah.
weeks
Where was
ago, yeah.
this?
Evergreen.
Evergreen.
That's a fast track.
That's Seattle, right?
Yeah.
Seattle, right? Yeah.
So
Damn.
Yeah.
That's a bang.
yeah, it's pretty serious.
It's a big fast track, and yeah, it was bad.
I mean, for real, the white Corolla looks like it has some like drag slicks in the back of the ear.
But my point with this is because we're talking about like the requirements for drifting and how we see cars without cages And a lot of times you don't see nobody has a problem, right? And there was times we let cars without cages tandem, quite a few times.
Oh, absolutely.
Quite a few times.
But you also made that judgment based on
Right.
the driver's skill level.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly. One person in particular I should never approved with was John Bauer, but we'll talk about that some other time. The guy hit me.
Because he crashed into him.
He crashed into me head first.
The same thing. Tim was sitting there, wasn't parked yet.
Yeah, I was parked, but but the guy that was behind me went around me. That's a wholeness. I'm sorry. I'm a little bitter still. Anyhow,
That's okay.
what about? Have you guys got on the drift sims yet?
Simulators, no. I mean, we've
Not
talked
really,
about
no.
it, but
All of these kids do it now. Like all these kids getting into drifting, that's how they're getting so good.
Yeah.
They're on these simulators.
I
Yeah,
mean,
that's a good
listen,
point.
I'm horrible with computers, so I wouldn't even know how to set one up.
Yeah. Well, he's got one.
Yeah, I'm horrible.
Yeah, I will love to. I would love to just. Play
Yeah,
with
you're gonna be
that.
like, that isn't realistic. This sucks. I can't. You spin.
Basically what I
It's
said.
Spin Factory. Spin Factory.
Yeah, but it's not like drifting, but what it does teach you is the motions, right? So it teaches you how to counter
Muscle memory.
Yeah.
It basically gives you the muscle memory. So all these kids need to like, oh, I know what to do here. So they just know what
Yeah.
to do now.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not exactly like drifting, but it's enough.
Yeah.
Muscle memory.
Ben.
I got some comments in the chat, courtesy of Mr. Brian Sturman, who writes, "That crash was at my home track,
Oh, yeah.
Evergreen. They allowed just single door bars, which is what the Corolla had. I believe they are changing the rules now. White car went across 3/8 bank and spun out. Gold car came through, smoked a little bit behind, and creamed him." So
Wait.
Wait. Oh, you mean other way around?
So
No.
the white,
white car
car
spun.
spun, and then the gold car went probably
Slammed him.
straight into him.
Wow, that's confusing by the way you see him in the picture.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
Okay, I could
that's
kind of
it.
see it happening.
thank you, Brian.
Thank you for that clarification, Brian. He's a fellow E30 enthusiast.
Damn, but still, they must have been traveling at some speed though.
That's wild.
Had to be.
I would have never thought that the white car was the one that spun out, and
No.
Right.
the gold car is the one that hit him. That's crazy.
Booking it though. Anyhow, so you want to? Do you have any footage from Black Friday? Do you want to transition to?
Well,
the next
I
thing?
actually,
Oh, where you want to go?
I wanted to actually highlight another blast from the
wow.
past.
Oh, look at that!
Oh man.
So what can you tell us about this photo, Shant?
Oh man.
Nice race.
Jerome, maybe you were part of this too.
I was in the background for sure, helping the team get ready, keeping the cars running.
Was that Moroso?
Yeah.
That was Moroso, right? I think it was.
Look at Jason.
That's auntie too.
I know, right? Yeah, auntie.
So in this photo from
Will.
Yes,
Yeah, that's Will.
yeah, so in this photo from left to right we have Auntie, then we have
Yeah,
Sean,
Rest in peace, Auntie.
man. Seriously.
Mr. Harry Tarbola, Jason Giovanni in the middle. Then you have Will Barnett and your brother, Rafi. And at the far end to the right, Mr. Jeremy Lowe.
I think this was the demo that
Yeah.
Tech probably like Harry probably brought us to.
Look at Auntie in his overall.
I know, right?
Yeah.
But yeah,
Such a wannabe moonshiner.
Harry was a big mentor for us. 'Cause
Oh my gosh!
Yeah.
Yes.
He made sure he included us in almost every event or venue he was able to get.
Yeah.
He actually I got invited 2 years in a row, which was probably my best experience of my life in drifting for the Indy 500 in St. Petersburg.
Oh, Stan.
right,
So
yeah.
they did a drifting demo. I mean, they shut down the streets of St. Petersburg downtown, and that was a racetrack. And I literally drifted in front of like 250,000 people. It was one of the coolest and best experiences of my life. Both years, I put my car on the wall, but hopefully it was not. Hopefully it wasn't anything serious where
Right.
I just banged it out and just went back on the track. But I mean, because there was no runoffs at all.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's like
All
you're-
walls.
Right.
Walls
You're either
and
trying to
tires.
right. It's just walls and tires, and you had no room for mistakes. But that's what made it so fun and so technical. And Harry got me the opportunity to be able to do that 2 years in a row, man. And one of the
good.
years also, Chelsea was able to join me. Aaron Lucy, Jason Giovanni was with me both years as well. It was just such an amazing weekend. It was just 3 days of drifting on the streets of St. Petersburg.
Wasn't also Travis Deems and Sultan Haju?
Yeah, Zoltan was
yeah,
there.
right, yeah, man,
Yeah,
that name in a
Zoltan was
while.
there. Who was the first person you said?
Travis Deems, I think. I
Oh,
forget.
Yeah. He had that maroon hatch, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Yep.
There's
He
an
was
RB
there-
powered.
Yeah. He was there the first year, I believe. First year he was there.
Okay.
Eric Mall was there.
Eric,
Mo
yeah.
was there. Yeah.
Barefoot drifter.
Yep. And
Ah,
I
okay.
remember because also remember Octane TV, was it Blake Fuller?
Yeah,
Blake
right.
Fuller?
yeah,
So
yeah.
he was the one that partnered and teamed up with Harry to do demos for Indy 500. And I remember, Harry was like, "You need to be as professional as possible. You're gonna be in front of a bunch of media coverage, Speed Vision, like, so many it's ESPN. Like he goes, you're gonna be a lot of big company. He goes, we need because drifting was still new,
Very new.
so like." He's like, this is what's going to make drifting get off the map because so many people watch the Indy 500. And again, I hate to kind of call him out, but we're in the driver's meeting. He shows up late and shows up barefooted. Harry looks at him like, what the hell, man? I just told you be as professional as
Showing
possible
he's barefoot.
while we're on our race suits,
That's right, all
like
looking
all this
legit.
stuff. And he shows up late, like not even in his race suit, but we got to laugh out of it. But yeah, when he said barefoot, it kind of reminded me of that.
Literally.
Jerome, I wanted to ask you, have you done, I mean, I know you've have a handle on fabrication and fixing these parts, but spotting, did you partake in any of that or was it just fabrication?
Oh yeah, like pit crew for the teams?
Right.
Absolutely. Yeah. Anytime there's a competition or qualifications, things like that, we are always in the background, keeping the cars running smooth.
So in regards to spotting, like what would you focus on? Just trying to get information from focus on what the other drivers are doing to give your team the advantage?
Well, in that regards, I didn't do so much spotting, but more of just focus on the engines and chassis and keeping everything ready to go.
Like crew chief kind of thing.
Yeah.
Right.
So did you utilize a spotter back then?
No,
Not
we
really.
were
Yeah.
our own spotters. We were like our own spotters. We would kind of give each other any help, any criticism we needed. We would also focus on the other drivers. We would see what they were doing. I had a little bit of experience spotting because I know Ryan, I forgot which event he was running, but I ended up going to a couple of events with him and he was driving. My car was down at the moment. And I would help them out because I would actually pay attention to see what other good drivers are doing, how they're entering, where they're letting off the gas, where they're getting on the grass. So like, you have to gas.
Yeah, I
gas. So you have to like pay attention to those certain things and just try to have your teammate mimic that, to make sure they're on the right line, they're doing the right thing. Because you learn from other drivers.
Yes.
Like I always said, I was a better driver myself when I drove with better drivers.
Yes.
Obviously, you have to have the skill level, but that is one thing. Like if I drove with Jeremy Lowe, Juan Hanau, those are all fantastic drivers. I mean, there's more drivers out there. Those are just two that pop in mind. Or Harry, I saw myself being a better driver, especially when I came to following them. Because that's where I wanted to shine the most is when I was following. Because anybody could do a lead run. Lead run is almost like a solo run. Just focus on the track, focus on your apexes, the line of the track, and if you're a good driver, you're gonna make it through it. Obviously the pressure in the back, but that's where the follow driver shines, and that's where I really wanted to put that main emphasis on my driving, and that's where me and Ryan, we would always somewhat compete with each other because our I feel like our driving level, our not the level, but like our style was very similar, and we'd always like to compete on how we can get close to one another whenever we did any demos or competitions and things like that. But that was always my thing, and I always try to help spot to make sure we're mimicking the other drivers because that's what's going to allow you to be able to be right on their door. So that was like a little bit of my spotting experience when I used to go to Ryan at his competitions to try to help him out with his driving.
Jerome, I'm gonna put you on the spot.
Okay.
Oh,
Obviously you had a handle on all of the cars.
yeah.
No, I'm saying
Who broke the cars the most?
no, I
Who
already
did he
finished
have to
mine.
work on? Whose vehicle did he have to work on the most?
Oh man,
You want more? Or
who can I say? I mean, me for one, my car was always breaking.
I'll have a little bit with you.
But
So you know.
I would say probably Rafi was a little wild. Yeah, he kind of had like a wild, loose style where
yeah.
he would kind of use the entire track and every bit of his gas pedal. So his car was always coming back limping more than anybody else.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say that Rafi
Yeah.
just had no care in the world. He would
Yeah.
just go balls to the wall straight on the track.
Yeah.
But again, that's what made him the good driver. It's like everyone
Yeah, when it
had
all
their
came
own
together,
style. Yeah.
he had some really impressive runs.
Yeah, everyone had their own style, man. It's like, but I miss just being on the track with everyone at the same time. Like those were like the golden days.
Yeah.
Tim?
I think I agree with you when you're talking about driving with better drivers. I grew more in skill level when I did that one season of SWD, and I didn't even do a full complete season. But having to learn a track quickly is something that pushes you as a driver. And I forget who was it. I think it was Officer Dan was saying when you go to compete, you have to be at the point. I don't know. Maybe it was Pat. Was it Pat Goodin or Officer Dan? I think it was Officer Dan. But he said you have to be able to link the course on your first run. The second run, you have to be able to be on the clips. And the third run, you just got to be figuring it out. He goes, that's where you need to be at a level. And then when we talked to Osbo, one of the things that Osbo, when we mentioned the drift simulators, the sim rigs, is that he said if you're going to utilize a sim rig to better yourself, he's like, you can't just get on the sim rig and just do the track 1,000 times. Spend hours on it. He goes, what he does, he trains himself to go out there and he'll do 5 laps and he'll get off. Because you have to be able to learn a track quickly. And that was something that, not that I was learning a track quickly by any means, not that I was doing phenomenal, but even as poorly as I was doing, I found that when I would go to like a local event, like I was freaking killing it. Like it stepped my game up. And we know when you're doing competition, you don't get near the runs you do in a practice, but forcing you to learn the track quickly and adapt quickly, what it does for your skill level is just tremendous.
Also, if you're an amateur and you have the opportunity to follow a professional who knows how to take the clipping points, and stay on throttle at certain points, then if you're following, you're basically mimicking what they're doing. So you pick up on all those things that'll get you through the track the best way.
Case in point on that is this is a shout out to Ryan Kaufman. We were at Sebring and we're doing they did the turn 16, I think it is in the back, correct?
I think so.
Same thing as turn 16. They did a different layout. And it was a lot of fun. I was having trouble finding the line. I said, Ryan, I'm having, with the initiation. After the initiation, I'm fine. He's like, follow me. And I swear it was like he just took my hand and he just took me through the course. And I was like, it was just like, oh my gosh.
I can already picture Ryan doing that. Follow me.
He's like, that's what I see. He's like, follow me. I'll show you the line. And I was like, I got off that run and he let me follow him like 2 or 3 more times after that. I'm like, and after that, I was good. Right.
One thing I always did when I'm driving a brand new track is my first one, which is good to warm up the tires as well. But I just drove the track. I did not even drift. I just drove the track to really feel, the turns, the width of the track, how long the turns are.
Thank you.
And just really just drive it normally. Then my
I don't
second,
have the patience.
I never, ever had the patience.
That's just right. And then my second run is I would push the car a little bit, like try to race through it, but then it would allow me to kick the rear end out to really get a feel for the speed of it. And then my third run is when I would just go in and
that's patience. I don't have that patience.
I never had the
I
patience.
say it. Yeah. No, I say it. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna drive through it. I'm like, no, smash, drift.
Listen, but most of those tracks that I never drove were competition days.
Yes, right.
So that's completely different. So if we went to County Line or we went to Homestead or Moroso PBIR or even Fairgrounds.
Yeah.
I didn't do that. I just did a burnout to warm up my tires and I would go straight in.
Right.
But if it's a competition day and it's a brand new track, I'm going to learn the track because I'm not going to go out there and wreck my car the first run. I want to know that I'm learning the track. I know my entry speed, and I would eventually, you get practice runs, eventually become faster and faster and know the clipping points, when you got to let go of the gas, give it more gas to be where you have to be. And that allowed me to learn the track. So that was always my tactics when it came to driving a new track. Most were like competition events.
Right. It's funny you mentioned that because that's one of the things that I would try to emphasize whenever I would sit down with somebody to try to show them around the track is that don't go crazy. You have this sort of, I guess many people had this misconception of like, like I need to go like 110%. Like right off the bat, and then oftentimes they would just find themselves into trouble. So I would just tell them like, look, like even me just getting into their cars, I would tell them like, just drive the track, and then little by little, like push yourself, grip it, right, and then increase yourself. And then the point is that I was trying to do by saying that is to try to get a feel for not only the track surface and the grip levels on the track surface, but most importantly, the grip level of your tires as well. Yep. Find that breaking point so that way you have a reference to build up off of. And then once you get that reference, then you kind of work your way from it, and then you start to build yourself, because it's a matter of figuring out not only as yourself as a driver where your limits are, but as also as your vehicle, what the limits are in the vehicle as well. Because if you don't, then you're not going to be comfortable with trying to go 80 miles per hour into a tight, left-hand turn. So I just think that many people sort of didn't get that message, and I think you would just see them go out, and I mean, there were many instances where on the first run they would go and total the car.
Yeah. One thing to kind of piggyback also off what you said is know your car.
Right.
Right.
Like a lot of
No
people
limits.
do this massive builds where, fortunately for me, like I daily drove my car. So I knew my car's limit like nothing. Like I still don't know that car's limit. And granted, it's a stock KA, so like the power point, like the car goes nowhere. It's actually completely slow. But not only that, I've never put the car on a track for me to know the limits of the car. The most I've slid that car was on rainy days. If I'm sliding, taking a turn or whatnot, I kick it sideways or whatever the case is. But I still don't know the full limits of that car. My S14. I knew that car like the back of my own hand, like I knew the full limits of it, which helped me become a better driver because I knew when I had to let go of the gas. I knew when I had to tap on the brakes. I knew at what speed my tires would break loose and what I had to do. So that's another important thing that I feel like you have to literally know the limits of your car to test your own limits. And then you're going to, skill yourself or advance your skills more by really getting out of that comfort zone of the limits that you're already comfortable with. Does that make sense?
No, absolutely. And that's one of the things another thing that I would just try to tell them that, and to add to what you're saying, is that any modification that you do, you got to relearn it.
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, it comes down to not only the engine modification, suspension modification, all of that, plays into a factor of figuring things out, because for all we know, you're hurting yourself more ways than one. Perhaps that the change that you make to your tire going for a different brand or a different tread wear pattern, you don't even realize that, you could go with that much faster or this much angle, but you don't know unless you go through the whole relearning process and try to actually just become a better driver by going through that learning experience.
Yeah.
And oftentimes we would just see people, they become stagnant. And they would just get frustrated, and they wouldn't necessarily know, like, okay, well, what am I doing wrong?
It's got to be some of my alignments
And
off.
perfect example for that, I remember we had a competition there in Ocala when we first got sponsored by BMPC.
Yeah.
I went into this event like so confident. Now, I had power steering for the first time when I put in SR. So when I first put in SR, and I remember we did that event in Orlando in like the convention center, and I drove that event with no power steering. So like the whole weekend, I got used to my SR. My first time was some type of power with no power steering.
Quick question: power steering rack with no power steering, or a rack with like no power steering at all?
So I know I had a rack. I just
It was
didn't
a
have
power steering rack, but you just didn't have the power.
I didn't have the pump.
Right.
So because
Okay.
I just did the SR swap on there.
So that's a little worse. I would
Yeah,
argue.
it wasn't
Yeah.
designed to
No,
go with that.
it was difficult. So like
Yeah.
at slow speeds, it was horrible. At least at high speeds, it was more easier to rotate. So, but that was my first event in Orlando with power, but no power steering. So then, we had a little bit of a downtime, and we get sponsored by BMPC. It was a performance shop out of Davie, Florida. They helped us out tremendously when it came to a lot of stuff, and they spruced up the car. They did new intercooler piping, put their larger intercooler on there, put power steering on there. They got us tires, which I was used to used tires that I
Right,
was getting,
yeah.
So like I went into Ocala so confident, and it was one of the worst drivings of my life.
Oh, wow.
Really?
I did horrible, because I never learned my new setup. I
Right.
never got the opportunity to learn it. I just went in there and drove on what I thought I knew how to drive. So I agree with you 100%, where every time you do a modification, something's different, you're almost relearning that car over again, because you have to get used to that modification. So I agree with you 100% on that.
Well.
I mean, look, we could all be nerds. Look at Initial D, Takumi.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Again, he drove that mountain for how long until he learned the full,
Right. So by the time everybody saw him, he had been driving it for years.
Exactly.
Yeah, right.
From the story, what he's been driving since like eight
some-
years
yeah,
old or
ridiculous.
something
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah.
But obviously he progressed because he knew the limits of the car. And then when his dad put the with the newer engine in the car.
Yeah.
He had
Even when he changed the
right.
suspension, he's like,
Right,
oh,
right.
I can go in.
Exactly.
There's more under.
Yeah.
There's
So he had to relearn the car. I mean, it's
But even there, it was piece by piece.
right.
Exactly.
It's a gradual progression.
yeah. So that's where a lot of sort of drifting nerds could kind of relate.
It is. It absolutely.
Yeah, I'm also thinking back to some people that would just go crazy on the power. They put like an SR swap and the welded diff, all that, or a two-way, and wouldn't upgrade the brakes.
Right.
So they would just find themselves, and I'm like, what are you doing? Or the suspension, and you see like the stock S14 suspension with the body roll, and I'm just like, okay,
There's a problem there.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
That's crazy. One other thing I asked, wanting to know, so you're sort of getting back in the game with the Aero-K Designs, and I think with what we witnessed with Taxi Garage, where they were kind of like in a similar state where they sort of took a hiatus, but then eventually they kind of like came back and they started kind of driving again. Do you guys foresee yourselves doing that? I mean, I'm not saying there's a timeline, but do you kind of foresee a future where?
Yeah, I
It's been
think the
talked
idea
about.
is there.
It's been
to
talked
get back
about.
on the track to continue drifting in our life.
Now, I don't know if
competition, probably not.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
just for fun, final bout style, just go out there to have a good time, I would say.
100%. I'm giving myself maybe 2 years, maybe 2024, to maybe have a car to just have fun at.
Yeah.
So I'm giving myself some time.
Mid horsepower,
Just
Yeah.
reliable. I've actually been talking to Chelsea a lot, and we came up with a certain number, and he said, "Give me that number, and I'll make sure I build you a reliable drift car. I just want a car I gotta just hop in, change oil, change tires, and have fun." Competition, I don't think we get into competition.
No.
Somewhere where we go to local events, obviously Aero-K will be on the car. Hopefully by that time we'll have more of our parts. We're hoping next year we can get steering wheels. So we want to be able to design our own steering wheels.
Even
and a lot
seats.
even seats. That might be a little further down, but most of our designs are going to be like your period correct 90s, early 2000s parts. So we're hoping by next year we'll have some Aero-K steering wheels designed. We want to focus on interior at first, and then sky's the
Branch
limit.
out.
Let's
Right,
see
right.
where we go.
Yeah.
But in 2 years, 2 to 3 years, I see ourselves getting into a car, even something we could share. Just go to events and just freaking go crazy.
It'd be nice to see too.
Oh,
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
I'll do one lap, swap, gets in, does the other lap, swap, and just have fun, man.
I like to see a 2-car trailer pull up with both you guys on there.
That would be
Yeah,
awesome.
so
That
would
would be
I.
awesome.
That'd be pretty
In the
cool.
future,
Right, you never know.
Listen, drifting has been a burning passion in us
Yes.
since the beginning. So, I want my son to see what his dad used to do and
Right.
see what he can still do, and Jerome has a daughter as well. I'm sure he feels the same way. And I don't think drifting will ever die in
Right.
ourselves. So
No.
at one point I think we'll do it again. Yeah. We just don't know what that time frame is.
Yeah.
Right. And I think it's important for you guys in a business sense because you want to be able to showcase your product. You want to be able to go out to potentially your customers and not only show like, hey, look, like not only do we, build these products and, offer them for sale, but I also, I guess, track tested, and all that stuff. I mean, because how often... I remember there were like shift knobs that would just like slide off because people would just be too aggressive with like the shifting gears.
That's because the sleeves are the adapters,
Right.
especially the sleeves. I had a Nismo shift knob that happened to.
Yeah.
It's a Nismo shift knob.
Right.
And it just come right off, from the heat, especially in Florida, transmission heat and all that stuff. That's again where you won't have any of these problems with our shift knobs. And and I feel like Aero-K Designs, like we want to cater more towards style. Like, yeah, I mean, these are just simple performance, with the shift knob's not going to make you a better driver.
No,
It's not going to make your car even faster.
Right.
But we just want that style. To me, style was always been like a huge key factor of Aero-K. It was all about style, and we want to kind of start bringing that back to life, and if hopefully by the time we're ready to drive, we have some more products. Hopefully, I've always loved the aerodynamics, side of the car. You never know, something like that we can get involved in the future and show off that style. But again, we just want to go out there and show, listen, this is Aero-K, this is what we used to do. We still love it. We still do it, and we have some cool products that you guys could, affordable, cool products that you guys can make your cars look good.
Awesome. Tim?
No, I mean, I agree with it. But I was going to say, do you want to talk about because I told them we're going to kind of maybe talk about the event we went to last week. It was last week? Or no, it was 2 weeks ago.
Was it 2 weeks ago?
Yeah, from the King of OSW. I almost said King of County Line because that's what I'm used to saying.
Good times,
Almost
man.
did. Yeah, those were good times.
Yeah, right.
But the King of OSW and
well, it's funny you mentioned that because like when you guys introduced the show, you were like, yeah, we used to be a part of the King of County Line. And we sort of had that experience, you know, just highlighting that. So I thought that was a nice touch that you added to that.
Yeah. It was a good time. So we do the announcing for Clutch Kickers. We actually got the chance. They flew us out, and we did the announcing for Hollyfest.
I had no idea you guys did the announcing for Clutch Kickers.
Oh, you did? Really?
I had no idea.
Yeah.
Wait, what?
I know you guys covered it, but I don't know you guys did the actual.
We're the announcers for the last 2.5 years. Yeah. Really? You didn't know?
No, I know you guys did the
Well, they don't
live
show
stream
us.
coverage for it, but I mean,
The live stream announcing, yeah.
I know you got to pay to watch it. Right?
Well, now this year, last 2 years,
year
you didn't.
wasn't?
No.
Well, I never got involved in Clutch Gears because I didn't know anybody that drove it.
Yeah, I got you.
Now the fact that I have Ryan and Nick with Taxi Garage,
Right.
obviously like I want to show them
Freedom
support,
Factory,
so I'm a little bit more involved in Clutch Gears. But I had no idea.
Yeah.
Look at that.
So,
Well, a quick question.
I feel like an ass, but it's all right.
no, that's all right. Trust me, I do that all the time.
Well, what are your thoughts on the series? Like from your perspective, I'm
Great.
curious.
It's exciting.
Yeah.
I'm happy they're doing it. It's kind of like lower level, but I feel like the track is amazing, and the prize money and all that makes it all worth it and keeps it very competitive.
What's cool about it is it's at the same track, so it builds a home for the series. So I think that's really cool about it, and the track is big enough where they could have different setups.
Okay.
So it still makes each driver feel confident towards that track because
Familiar.
it's still going to give you some type of familiarities. Is that right?
Yeah, that's right.
Because even though it's a different layout, it's still the same track. You sometimes when you go to a new track, you get like some of those like butterflies because like, I've never driven this track. But again, being the same track, each driver could carry that confidence throughout the entire series, and the track itself could create a home for the series, which I feel like is like really cool. That's one thing that I like about it.
Yeah, well, and that's one thing about Clutch Kickers. If you the seasons prior it was at the same track, but not only was it the same track, it was the same layout. So it was the same layout. So it was getting to the point where these guys were so dialed in. They were so dialed in.
It was insane.
Yeah.
Like somebody they came out to run a Clutch Kickers for the first time really had an uphill battle.
Yeah.
Because it was just same clips for the most part.
Conondale was so tuned in. Tuned into that track.
So was Taylor Hall.
Taylor Hall too, yeah.
Yeah, these guys were just in their cars are monsters, right?
Yeah.
But so honed in. What was good about the Freedom Factory, not sure if that's what it's going to be next year. Unfortunately, they had to cancel the last round, and it really was a shame. So next year, there's a lot of question marks up in the air. What's going to happen in Clutch Kickers next year? But I know one thing that I thought it was great is, like you said, it's the same venue, right? So same venue, but you could change the layout. So at least the same venue, it gives that.
Yeah, it's
you
same
could kind of
track
break it up. You don't have the guys that are so dialed in on these layouts. You could change it up. So I thought that was great. We don't know what your next year's going to bring. We don't know.
What I thought was interesting is that, it's a lot of grassroots drivers, right, in there. But you had Rad Dan, and he does pretty well in Formula Drift, right?
Yeah.
I didn't think he didn't get very far.
No.
That just goes to show how good those drivers are there.
Yeah.
I mean, what's his name? Connor O'Sullivan.
Connor O'Sullivan.
He is a monster. This guy he's only been driving for 2 years.
But just barely 2 years, and the kid's very, beast.
Yeah, he's just an absolute monster.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So
what you notice too is that a lot of these. No, sorry to cut you off, but a lot of these drivers nowadays. Back when I think we were starting out, a lot of the guys came over from like skateboarding. You talk to most people, I skateboard.
Yeah,
maybe a little BMX,
some type
freestyle.
of extreme sport.
Some type of
They did
extreme
some
sport.
type of extreme sport.
It seems like a lot of the guys, at least the guys that are really sticking out, come from motocross. And we talked to Alec Hunnadale, and one of the things that he brought, and I thought it was a great point, he's like, well, he goes, skateboarding, it's kind of dangerous, right, for the most part. Motocross is a whole nother level. I mean, they're jumping these jumps, going 3-4 stories up in the air, throwing their bodies on these motorcycles. Now they make the transition. A lot of times they're making the transition because the body can't take it anymore.
Of course.
So now you put them in a cage car, they're freaking fearless.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So that leaves, you remove that fear. That's my biggest problems was fear, right? I don't want to crash a car. One, I don't want to hurt myself. And two, I don't want to fix my car. Right, so it's like that fear is hard to get over.
I always had that mentality. Any new event or any drift event, really, I said to myself, "It's like, Shant, you might crash your car today." You have to have that thought.
You do.
You have to. You know, like because you can't expect to be in motorsports and not wreck your car. And I love my car, and that was my biggest fear is wrecking my car.
Yeah,
but I had to put it in my brain where it's like, Shant, you might wreck your car today, and you have to accept it. You know, and once you accept that, I feel like it will make you a better driver because you're putting that small fear behind you because you have to accept that fear that it's bound to happen. Just like asking a girl out, you might get rejected. Be okay with that rejection and move on to the next. You crash. Hopefully it's not a horrible crash. Fix it. Get back out there. You know, you have to have that level of consistency and that confidence, but I also need to know that shit, it might happen. You know, and I feel like, you know, a lot of drivers should try to get into that mentality to kind of put that fear aside. A lot of new drivers, maybe, to put that fear behind them that, you know, it comes with the sport. I play hockey, and I never did any extreme sport. My extreme sport was hockey.
Hockey's pretty dangerous.
And I still play. Sometimes my body doesn't like it, you know, but, you know, I expect that. I was like, all right, I might play today, and I might be feeling it tomorrow.
Yeah.
You know, but whenever I had any event, I always gave that expectation, like, yo, you might crash your car today. Fortunately, I had nothing major. You know, they're all small little, you know, hits here and there.
Gravel pit.
Right. Gravel pit, exactly.
But that wasn't much damage. It was in a gravel pit, so.
Yeah, no. I mean, my rear end was sticking in the air because I went pretty deep in there.
Did pretty deep.
But
nom.
literally, I was eating gravel. And there was a slow motion picture. I think you might have captured the picture. I think
I'd have to look
but
it up.
there's literally a slow motion picture of me like going into the gravel. Is actually pretty cool.
That's funny.
Yeah. I did want to add to something that you mentioned is that I remember watching a movie by actor Eric Bana, and Australian guy that he talked about building his childhood car that he was able to find, or actually no, he still had it, but he built it to race. And it was an interesting journey that he went through to kind of get it back together, and you could tell the love and the passion that he had for it. And it just so happens that there was this Australian race, and he just ends up crashing it. It pretty much totals it. And the big lesson that he got from it is that don't race a car that you love, because in doing so, you could potentially, more than likely than not, limit yourself. And it makes a lot of sense because you don't want any sort of restrictions or any sort of fears to hold you back from being able to drive at the absolute limit. And doing so, thinking about like, am I going to break this or am I going to crash this, is really got to hold you back from being able to obtain, your true potential. So
Could be dangerous too.
Oh, absolutely.
Second guessing your moves and
Yeah.
Right. And it talking about this now reminds me back with those two Corollas that we saw. I mean, you have to be passionate about those vehicles to be driving those vehicles.
Yes.
In this day and age.
Yeah.
And the fact that you see that they didn't have cages, right? Just
One
to
did, yeah.
confirm, one of them
I
did,
believe.
yeah.
Yeah.
So to see that they're still doing it, and I mean, it's good, but at the same time, you kind of have to sort of face the facts.
Yeah, just
And
like I
this-
always said, you have to accept it. I mean, you still want to be one with your car, like you still have to have that relationship with your car. As us guys, we had that special bond with our car. But like I agree, like this car, I don't think I'll ever take this car on the track.
I wouldn't want you to.
I wouldn't want to either. To find another car in this condition, it's going to be hard for me. So it's like, unless God forbid, knock on wood, somebody hits me. Okay, I hope that never happens.
This is Florida.
All right. Then I'd be like, all right, you know what? I'm fucking throwing some sorry for my language. I'm putting some quarter panels on the car, and now I'm taking it to the track and beating the crap out of it because somebody already hit me, but like now you don't want to drift a car you love, but you also want to really have that relationship with your car where, again, its full potential. And that's what's going to make you that better driver,
All right. One individual that reminds me of this is Bill Sherman. Remember him?
Oh yeah.
So Bill Sherman, huge Toyota guy. Like Toyota just flowed through his veins. But you would just see him driving a Nissan.
Yeah.
He competed professionally with a Nissan.
Yeah.
And his thought process behind it is that I want to drive a car that I don't care about. And it was
Makes
it
sense.
was
100%. Yeah.
yeah, and so just to see him do that, and I was just like, man, that's a great point.
Yeah.
Just talking about this now just drew me back to
Well,
that.
that throws a lot of pressure off you. You know, like, well, that's why, again, you have, a lot of the professional drivers are always exceeding their skill limits because at the end of the day, these are cars that it's not their cars. It gets built for them. All they got to do is drive.
So it relieves that pressure.
That's
that
it.
stress, yeah.
That's it. Right. I mean, they have the pressure of driving and winning, obviously.
Yes.
They have to make sponsors happy. But at the end of the day, this is, yes.
There's freedom in that.
Exactly. They put a big pitch in, building the car, I'm sure, with their design. They get really involved. But at the end of the day, like, they know if, God forbid, if they crash, they have a big team behind them to put it together. Compared to an amateur driver, they crash, their day's done.
Reminds me of
They're done.
I think it was Formula Drift last year or something, where Chelsea was in the pits and she's like, "Oh, what's going on?" He's like, "Yeah, they changed out the rear end in 5 minutes, the whole subframe." Like
absolutely.
Like, what?
Yeah.
They changed out the Chelsea's like, "Yeah, they got the print done and they're gonna swap out the subframe. We'll be back out there in a couple minutes." I'm like,
Where if
"What?"
it's an amateur driver, we're out on the hot,
Yeah,
pits, with no tent or nothing underneath, trying to pull a subframe out with our minimal tools.
They're trying to find the
that's gonna
12
take
and 14. I can't find it. I can't find it.
Yeah.
So like, as the amateur drivers, like, you have that pressure of that where it's like, crap, if I crash or if I break something, like, how long am I going to be out for? I just invested all this money to make it to this event, so there's so many variables, compared to when you're saying driving a car you don't care about. But at the same time, it all depends on the event as well. If you're just driving a car you don't care about on a skid pad, I mean, at this point, yes, you're it's a different level of driving compared to as an event, especially being backed by an entire team where your main focus is driving and, you have the skill set of a team that's going to be able to change a rear end in 5 minutes. Where if I change a rear end, probably take me a couple of days.
Well, what are you talking about? You got Jerome on your side.
There you go.
Half a day.
There we go. So I mean, there's so many variables in that, but I agree with it also.
Yeah, but it also reminds me of Chelsea's journey with like the E36 and the struggles that he went through.
He went through a lot
and I
of
remember
struggles.
how it was just tough for him, and he had to make a lot of sacrifices to get to these events. And mind you, he wasn't, driving and half-assed or anything like that. And like he was really pushing himself. I mean, you remember him? I think it was Tyler McCrory in Homestead.
Oh yeah.
He
When
just caught
rode up the
air,
car. Yep.
and his hit in against Daigo at Palm Beach,
Or
and-
when his car caught on fire in Homestead also.
Oh,
yeah.
There's that picture of him running back to get the hat from the car because he dropped the hat while you see the car is engulfed in flames.
Right.
There's a picture of him like running back like that's his lucky hat to go grab it. But he was a privateer,
Right,
Like,
exactly.
That's the thing about Chelsea. Between all of us that drove together, Chelsea dropped everything to follow the sport. Left friends, left girlfriends, left family, and he went where the sport was growing up, was blowing up. And he did so well strategizing because he knew that's what he wanted to do. And he did what all of us were dreaming of doing, being professional drivers. He did what he needed to do to get out there.
made the sacrifices.
Exactly. And then when he was driving the E36 or E46, he was a privateer. I mean, he has some sponsors.
Yeah.
Right.
But when his car broke down, he was in that engine bay under that car turning
Oh, yeah.
wrenches.
He had a video series at the time. I remember. I think it was "Say Howdy Get Rowdy"
Yeah.
video
Yep.
series, and he would talk about how after an event that he sustained significant damage, you will see like the whole process of him trying to get the car back together again for the next event. So But just going back to that, it's just seeing him go from the E36 to the E46 and then the RX-8.
Yeah, I remember the RX-8.
Yeah.
You saw a
Bergenholz.
change in the
Yeah,
driving.
Bergenholz, yeah,
right?
Bergenholz,
Yeah,
yeah.
Bergenholz. You saw the change in the driving.
Yeah.
And you could kind of see the true Chelsea
Yep.
of what he was capable
Yeah,
of.
it took a lot of weight off or
course.
pressure off of
Yeah.
him to where
Because he
could
had a
just
team to
focus on
back him
driving.
up. So exactly, all you had to do is focus on driving, and then now you see him with the RTR team.
Forget it. Yeah. Insane.
Like
It's just like
straight up, like
you just
he's
unlock
the
beast
most exciting driver to watch.
Right.
I mean, where was that event where he hit 110 miles per hour? I mean, straight up, like he
Utah, I
said,
think.
Utah,
Utah,
with
yeah.
he
Oswald.
literally said, he
Yeah.
goes, "I have no choice. What other choice do I have? I need to hit top speed. I need not top speed, but I need to hit this initiation as fast as I can." And he hit 110 miles per hour. He was the fastest entry speed of the day. Because the only way I'll be able to showcase my skills and be able to
have
top
that
the rest
angle and yeah.
is I need to go as fast as I can. I am not going to let go of the gas until I hit that initiated speed. He hit 110 miles per hour.
That's insane.
And we know that because we had this conversation after the event. Yeah.
Wow,
And
that's wild.
That's just his mentality when it comes to driving. That's why, again, being biased, Chelsea's our boy, but like he truly brings excitement. And there's other drivers also
Right.
that do. It's not only him, but that's what makes me want to continue watching FD, is to watching drivers like that. It's that excitement, because people want to be at the edge of their seat. You know what I'm saying? Like when you watch any type of sport, you know, I'm a big hockey fan. So when I'm watching hockey and it's in overtime and next goal wins, you're on the edge of your seat.
Yeah.
You know, like,
Yeah.
and when they score, you're screaming. You're hopefully it's your team that won.
Right.
Right.
But you know, the viewers want to be at the edge of their seat.
Yeah,
You
the
know,
anticipation, the excitement,
Right.
the chance of anything happening or what's going to happen is just that's what makes sports grow.
Well, we went to a Panthers game not so long ago, and it was exciting from beginning to end. It was the first time for Mr. Paul over there, but for me, I've been there before, and I got to tell you, I
Hockey
mean, I was
games
just-
are the best live.
yeah, definitely. I mean, you get into the moment, and it's just.
box. So.
Yeah, it was
No, hey, box or not, pal, relax, okay? Box or not, it was exciting, beginning to end. I was just like, woo! It was wild, but I think it's just like you feel it.
Yeah.
You're in it.
Yeah.
And I mean, of course, the moments where they start throwing fists that enhances the experience, but for the most part,
Couple
like
beers
overall,
in, you know.
yeah, exactly. But it just adds to that. But one thing though that, like, for me, I don't know for you guys, since you have a closer relationship with Chelsea, but for me, that I still have trouble kind of like wrapping my head around it, is I've always known him to be a Miata and a BMW guy, or a Mazda BMW guy.
He still is.
Just, of
still
course,
is.
I understand that, but the thing is, it's just the association with the Ford. It's just like, you know,
Ford Mazda, you know.
Well, I'll give you that. Yes,
Yes.
Ford did own Mazda for a time,
there's,
so I guess there's that connection. But do you guys feel that way about it, or?
Well, I mean, listen, you
He
gotta
owns that Ford Mustang.
Yeah.
he does.
Yeah.
Okay, all right.
Definitely the best driver.
And not only that, I feel like Mustang now gives you a pretty nice platform just to go drifting straight off the bat. You know, so like he's showcasing that, you know, with
Right.
his demo cars. And when we went to Clean Culture, he had his S550 demo car there. And again, that's just your regular Coyote motor in there. I mean, other than he had a drive shaft, I believe the rear end, and he had an angle kit on it, the motor other than that was relatively stock. And you see when he was going up against LZ in his S15, Randy in the blue S14.
Yeah,
is that
Randy.
Randy?
Yeah.
And he's pushing like 700 horsepower in that car, something like that. And like you saw sometimes Chelsea's S550 was having a hard time keeping up, especially on the straightaway. But obviously, once he entered drift,
Right.
he would catch up. But it's just a good platform to start, and I think he's, especially with this new drift. No, the Mustang now is a drift knob or whatever it is from the factory.
We were talking about that.
Would you
yeah.
ever think an actual manufacturer coming out with a drift knob? That's almost like saying, "Hey, this car is set up for drifting. Have fun."
Right.
You know, like now you can go drifting on the streets. You
Yeah.
know, I'm not saying that's what they're saying.
I rented one of those. The thing's completely set up, dude. That thing is ready.
Right. So he's just showcasing that car, and I've never been a Mustang fan my entire life. Chelsea even knows that. He was like,
Right.
you know, he always makes fun of me for that. It's just like, I'm driving a car that you never liked, you know? Now I'm at an age where I appreciate every car now. I don't care what it is, you know, if it's properly built, and especially if there's a good driver driving behind and taking it to the limits, I have full respect for that car. But I think, you know, again, Chelsea's following the sport. He wants to grow himself as a driver. You know, he wants to exceed himself as a driver. And this gave him the perfect opportunity to do so. But his passion is still towards Mazda and BMWs. I recently got a chance to visit him. I brought him some Aero-K stuff for his cars. And his shop is literally filled with Miatas and Mazdas. Miatas and BMWs.
Good.
Well, that's good to know.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was starting to wonder. I was like, hey, pal, I
He's
mean,
got a couple Miatas.
Oh, yeah.
yeah.
I got the opportunity to drive a right-hand drive individual throttle body Miata that he got from Japan, and he doesn't even know where it's been tuned from, whatever the case is. But this car was fun to drive, man. I'll tell you that. You know, and he has a couple Miatas, he has a couple BMWs, and you know, he's, like I said, he still has that passion for those cars.
Yeah. Well, we had one Miata driver that's him and his buddy,
I mean, Taylor, right?
Taylor Ray and Ben Julian.
Oh,
They
yeah,
brought
those two.
the Miatas kind of back to this. I want to say brought it back to the scene because Chelsea was running it for a while. Then he went to the BMW, but there wasn't a driver that I can think of that was throwing down like Taylor Ray and Ben Julian, and how they kind of, you start seeing more Miatas pop up after they were just like
Back in the day, it was Chelsea, Ryan, Ralph. Remember Ralph?
Ralph,
Yeah, back in the day.
Oh, the vinyl that he had on the windshield. I don't want to say it,
Yeah,
but
like there was a few Miata drivers back in the day that was
Right.
drifting on it, but I mean, yeah, it's glad to see it back. Honestly, I would love to see some like really like JDM inspired style like 240s back out there drifting.
Yeah.
You know, but I just feel like it's not, other than Final Bout
yeah.
You
and
got
heavy
Dustin
competition. I
Yeah,
just don't.
can't hang.
Miles. Dustin
Yeah.
Miles does. He has a very low,
Yeah.
very stylistic S13.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Dustin Miles, yeah, check him
yeah,
out.
you look him up.
Dustin Miles.
Actually, I'll look him up.
Yeah.
I know a couple of drivers have like S15. I think it's an S14, but it's the S15
Front.
even
And
rear.
quarter.
And
Yeah.
yeah,
Oh,
because
yeah.
I know Super Doof now. I believe it's Super Doof.
Yeah,
Oh no.
Ben Hobson has that same kit.
Yeah, where you literally, it's a whole,
S15
you
in
could
front, S15 in
mount
the back.
a full S15 rear end.
There you go.
And you just got to buy the headlights, taillights and headlights.
A lot of guys are making a transition over to the vets now. What do you think about the
Yeah.
vet?
I like it.
Have you drove one?
No.
No?
I hate the vets.
I mean, I
like 'em.
drove,
Yeah?
I've driven vets, and obviously you have to really modify the steering angle because
Yes.
I haven't driven a newer vet, but I know some of the old ones like the C5, you know, chassis, and those.
Yeah, I don't think anybody uses the
no
C5.
angles at all.
No, C6
This is about as far
and
back as they go.
What's his name? Dirk.
Dirk's
All Dirk's car has is coilovers, cut knuckles, and a I forgot where the motor's made. Who makes the motor?
Lingenfelter.
Lingenfelter. Yeah, Lingenfelter 800
Yeah,
watts.
yeah.
motor.
Yeah.
That's it.
I mean, that's
That's all it's done.
That's all.
It's still on the stock bushings for the whole entire suspension.
well. I mean, being a
Nothing
newer,
else.
I mean, not really newer, but I mean, I remember my S14. I never changed the bushings other than the front control arm bushings.
Right.
You know, at the time it was somewhat of a newer car. But yeah, like with the vets, I know it's like as long as you update that angle, I mean, put some suspension.
lot of guys
and-
are switching to it.
and you're good to go.
Yeah, Taylor Ray went from the Miata and he built a vet. Clutch kickers built like a vet you could rent, like to rent a vet. But Taylor Hole went from the Cadillac to the vet. A lot of guys are making that transition.
I feel like the 350Zs now are like the 240s.
They are.
Serious.
And now
Absolutely.
the vets, very nice.
Yeah.
The vets are like the 350Cs from back in the day. Because back in the day, you drove a 350Z, you're like, man, you're driving a brand new car. This is going to be expensive to fix.
Yeah.
You know, if you break it. But I feel like it took its place.
Yeah. So that's Dustin Miles. He definitely
He's got two cars. He's got the
Very nice, man. But it really gives you that D1 Street Legal vibe. I
Right.
like it. I
Right,
like
and
it a
that's what
lot.
he's into.
Wait, he drives FD?
Yeah.
Pro 2.
Yeah.
Yes.
Prospect.
Yes.
Okay.
Prospect. Pro. Yeah.
Drives in. He has two different cars.
I guess,
yeah.
I never watched Pro 2 because I always put on FD when, you know, like I said, I watched it to support
I'm not a
Chelsea.
fan. Like I don't really watch much drifting outside of going to the events and stuff and watching maybe clips here and there on YouTube. Like I won't watch a whole episode of or a whole.
YouTube?
I'll be straight honest with you. The moment Chelsea gets
Chelsea gets
eliminated
knocked
again,
out.
Yeah, right. And
I turn it off. I'm not gonna lie. Like I don't
Well, that's
care
your
who
boy,
wins
right,
after
that's-
that.
yeah.
The
Watch the
moment-
highlights on
You
Instagram.
watch
That's it.
There you
I'll
go.
find out who
Right.
won afterwards. That's it.
Yeah,
You know,
there you go.
watch the cool edited videos.
Yeah.
But once Chelsea's out, unfortunately, I turn it off.
Yeah, it's no more
But then
reason to
back
watch.
in the day, we used to watch D1 videos and
For
we would
hours.
watch it for hours. And a lot of times, the same DVDs.
On repeat.
Yeah. Well, so yeah. I still
You
watch
know?
old videos like
And
that.
like, but we will watch it through the end. You know what I'm saying? Like, and again, it's just it was a different style of driving. I don't know if it's just because we were so passionate and into it because we were kind of more involved, or again, it just has changed again in a positive. I'm not saying anything negative about it, but it just the old style was just you know, to us it was grassroots, or to me it was grassroots.
Have you heard of Drift Week?
I have not.
Yeah.
Okay.
So basically, they have a thing now where.
Aaron Lucy.
Yeah, you want to explain it?
No, you go ahead.
No, go ahead, because I'm not.
Oh, okay. All right. So it's basically
Drag Week.
yeah. So they go from track to track. So the original idea was you got to stay in the same car, and you got to drive your car from track to track, which a lot of guys still do. But they basically have events lined up at different tracks, and they do, I don't know, like 1,500 miles or 2,000 miles between all the tracks, driving from track to track. And it was almost like just a gauntlet, right? People fixing their cars. And it brings back that old school stuff, right? Driving your car to the track. People have all kinds of different wagons or trailers or rigs set up to carry their tires with them. They do like have a trailer that people can put tires on. The trailer follows them around. But basically, yeah, look it up, Drift Week. They basically go, and it's not like a live stream thing. You just have to watch people's YouTube channels and watch them as they go from event
Chelsea
to
does
event. Yeah, Chelsea does it. Really? Yeah. Yeah.
heard of it.
Drift Week. Yeah, look it up. They
Yeah,
do
I've
it
heard of
like
it.
two
Oh, yeah?
a
Yeah,
year.
pretty crazy.
Two-
They're on their sixth one, and it started during COVID, so they're like about 2 a year.
Yeah.
But it's really crazy. It's basically they got to take you start with your car, you drive it to the track, you drive it to the next track, you drive it to the next track.
No
you don't
competition.
drive-
It's not a
no
competition.
Just
Just
fun.
fun.
Day,
Fun day. It's fun day after
They
fun day
said
after
it's
fun day. But
like
you
the
drive from
most
track.
amount of driving you'll ever do in your life.
That sounds awesome.
So that's what I would.
But you got to
like.
you got to build a
have
car that's
very
reliable.
reliable
Yeah.
car.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And you got to have heat because it's up north.
A
So
lot of
yeah, I'm a South Florida boy. I mean, I go past Orlando. I'm like, it's cold.
Yeah, I'm the same.
Alex gonna have the problem for overheating. I'll tell you that.
Yeah. Well, that'll solve one problem. Yeah.
Right. You mentioned earlier talking about trying to instill some of your upbringing to your children, and this is in regards to like drifting. So, are you guys with your relationship with Taxi Garage getting those carts and trying to like get your kids to slide around with the carts?
I would say, yeah. I'll be honest, I don't have a crazy cart yet, but I just started having the conversation.
Yep.
I kind of stayed away from them. They kind of scare me a little bit.
Yeah. They're fast.
I'm like, I need my hands for my career. I don't want to like break my kneecap.
Oh yeah. Nice. Yeah.
But now it's gotten to the point where I'm like, all right, they're having way too much fun. And anytime Ryan lets me borrow his crazy cart, I have like the biggest smile on my face. So
Yeah. We went there. We did and he had an episode, and I got on a slow one. Then he put me on a fast one, and
It's
I'm not
unreal.
flexible. So like I have to like really pull my leg up to not floor it. Well, I'm like I'm stuck flooring it. I slammed in the side of Charlie's car. Like I had a welt on the side of my leg for like 3 months.
No, man.
I kept running into everything, man. I was crashing like you wouldn't believe. I still haven't time of my life.
They're like they're stage 4, stage 5. So
That's
no
why
joke.
I was driving
Yeah.
Charlie's
Yeah.
like, and it was like, I'm like, oh my gosh,
Yeah,
yeah.
Well, I remember Fuel Fest. They had the little track.
Yeah,
fit
yeah,
out.
yeah.
And I brought my cart out. My cart out just has their 36-volt battery, their upgraded caster. Still has a stock neck, stock motor. Me and my son, we ride it at least 3 or 4 times a week.
Oh,
We
okay.
ride it pretty often. I have a cool park next to my house that we go ride around. But so he was just like, he gave me his car. He goes, dude, try this out. And he had their new tire, which was the Air 2 tire.
Yep.
It wasn't the solid ones that I have on mine. And I'm coming through the track, and I'm taking it easy because I'm used to mine. Like I'm not trying to, again, like you said, kill myself, like. So I remember I'm coming in, and one of the back entries, like I literally get like reverse coming in.
Oh.
And I come reverse coming in. I'm about to spin out and go into the vents. So like I'm thinking, all right, what would I do in a car? I want the gas down. I literally put the gas down. I start doing a burnout, like literally burning out, but it catches my drift and I actually get out of it. But then I'm burning out. I pop the tire because
That's the air
I
tire,
just
yeah.
hit it complete full gas and it goes like, but it keeps me out of the drift. It doesn't get me to crash in there because if I feel like if I let go of the gas, I was going straight into the fence.
Yeah.
So I gave it gas to save the drift, and it just burned out, and I like popped the tire going out, and then I flipped it because of the tire popping literally on the rim. But it was just, I was like, holy crap, how much speed does these things have?
Yeah.
You know, and I could only imagine on like long straightaways.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Yeah, we're flying on those things.
Yeah, I
Those
killed
things are
myself.
fun though.
Yeah, they were doing the bank at OSW.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
They
they
were
were.
doing the bank. I'm like, what are you guys doing? It's like, well, it's fun. I'm like, okay, you guys stay up there. You
This
do your
car
thing.
probably wouldn't even be able to drift.
What are you talking about? I think Phil back in the day did the bank at OSW.
Well,
I crashed
I'll-
on the bank one time.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
How's that?
Messed my car up pretty bad. And then my welding career started after that.
There you go. And I was like,
okay.
I gotta
Everything was
fix it.
meant to be,
Yeah.
man.
That's crazy. But yeah, going back to, so you're basically just teaching your kids drifting through the carts, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, my son's going to be 4, so like, I really try to take it easy with him on
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
Typically, like
Easy, man.
I drive it, he sits on my lap. He does the gas, so he like we've gone full throttle like through the neighborhood and through the park, but I do majority of the steering. Actually, the other night we were in front of my house. He wanted to drive it, and we were driving, and then when we got in front of the house, like I started pulling the handbrake up and started doing some donuts and going. He was having a good time, but slowly but surely, I'm gonna let him like kind of progress, and then if he gets big enough, ride it on his own, and get that pedal stopper that they sell. So
Yes,
he's
there you
not
go,
full
yep.
throttle. But yeah, man, he has a blast. He loves it. Like I said, at least 3 or 4 times a week we're on that thing. Yeah.
Do you guys put your kids to sleep with option videos? By some chance? I'm just curious.
No.
Yeah, no, not yet.
Not yet.
Not yet.
Not a bad idea though.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, come on.
He's gonna wake up learning Japanese.
that wouldn't be a bad
Like, what? What did she say?
It's like, where'd you learn this? Like, what's going on over here?
Yeah, I'm a proud dad. Proud dad.
Yeah, that's good. Tim, I'm sorry.
No, I don't really have too much else. I mean, I just realized, looked at time. We've been going on 2.5 hours.
Oh, wow.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's how time
times.
flies.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's wild.
Yeah. So I just want to end. Let's just go ahead and wrap it up because it's after 12. But tell everybody where they could find you. Go over the deal again, and thanks for coming.
Yeah, it was a good
Hang
time,
out.
Tim.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, first and foremost, thank you, Drift Sessions, for having us out. I mean, I know we spoke about this, but
Yeah.
we're both so excited to come out, speak to you guys. I mean, we've known you guys for so long.
Yeah.
We used to do so many events together, so it was really exciting for us to be here. So we want to thank you guys for having
Absolutely.
us. For the shift knobs, Aero-K Designs. Aero-K Designs is our Instagram. Aero-Kdesigns.com is the website. Till the end of the weekend, it's 20% off on all of our shift knobs. Promo code Drift Sessions. So we're going to throw in some goodies in there for you guys.
Yeah, we'll make it
for
worth it.
everybody. Absolutely. Like I said, we just want to see our products out there, get the name out there, show the quality of our shift knobs, and I'm pretty confident everybody will be happy. So 20% off the end of day Sunday. Promo code Drift Sessions. Any questions you guys have, hit us up. On Instagram. I'll be more than happy to answer any questions.
Yeah.
And yeah, man, I appreciate you guys having us.
Good deal.
Awesome. So with that said, folks, we want to thank you for tuning in. Actually, we were going to make an announcement, but we can't officially make it yet because this announcement may or may not affect our next episode. So stay tuned for our social media channels because it's a major one. But in the meantime, we hope to catch you next time. So with that said, take care and good night.
All right.